but it needs to get back to the way business always should run.
Lance LaRusso, Eric Hines' attorney, says Hines has pled not guilty and stands by the fact he did nothing wrong, that he followed the law and was serving lawful warrants. Christopher Hutchins' attorney, Don Samuel, says Hutchins is innocent of any crime and has pled not guilty. He said, "We expect the case to be dismissed." After speaking to DA Willis, we did some checking. Bear in mind, the indictment is stamped October 26, 2021. We reached out to the Police Department. APD provided some numbers. APD says in 2021, the U.S. Marshals Service assisted APD in 135 arrests. In 2022, the Marshals Service assisted in 44 such arrests. And through last week, they had assisted in 45 arrests this year. Sandy Springs Police Chief Ken DeSimone told us it is common knowledge among local law enforcement officials that some federal law enforcement agencies are not offering the same level of cooperation concerning arrests as they once did in Fulton County. He says a now former senior Marshals Service official confirmed to him personally within the past 2 to 3 years the Southeast Regional Fugitive Task Force did not want to arrest fugitives in Fulton County because of concerns about the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. He says twice the Southeast Regional Fugitive Task Force has advised Sandy Springs Police of out-of-state fugitive murder suspects in Sandy Springs so that Sandy Springs could make the arrest themselves if they chose, which they did, and in both cases the fugitives were armed. A statement from the marshal here says the USMS works diligently with state and local law enforcement partners in Fulton County and throughout Georgia.
This is the axis, right, of this storm system. And so the axis of this aligns with the North Pole. And because of that, it has a positive tilt. And that typically doesn't mean as severe or unstable as an environment. And that's why you have limited cold air that's going to be pushing through. But as this jet stream kind of evolves, you'll see the axis of this low pressure as it ramps its way up, tilts away from the pole. That makes it negative, and that allows it to have more instability, a little more robust, and it starts to strengthen. And that's why Sunday into Monday, we're not talking about technically a severe threat, but maybe a more widespread, impactful threat, because this low strengthens as it hugs the I-95 corridor. It's going to tap into the warm Atlantic, and that's why you see those coastal areas draped in that yellow. That's that moderate rainfall that continues to come down, and the only chance of getting that snow is that cold Canadian air sent up over the Great Lakes, creating that lake effect snow. That cold air ain't going to be present beforehand. It's actually going to be quite warm as we enter into Sunday, and then starting to cool down potentially after this system passes through. So let's time it out for you. I know a lot of people have plans, and this is the time of year a lot of people come to the Big Apple for those iconic landmarks. Well, by Sunday 10 a.m., that may be the last dry period until some of this starts to push through, and then you'll start to see it really strengthen Sunday night. You may get some light showers early Sunday here in the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, but it's late Sunday as that low pressure strengthens and actually pushes out over the Atlantic. Sunday into Monday morning, that morning commute is when you'll see, I think, the biggest impacts out of these systems. And then by Monday evening, it's already kicked out into Nova Scotia, and you just have the remnants of this. When you look at the snow potential, you would think this time of year, snow would be blanketing all the Northeast. No, it's going to be the mountainous terrain, Adirondacks, the Tug Hill Plateau, and those areas near the Great Lakes. All right, so that's what's going to be active this upcoming weekend.
That's right. Progress has been made. The wreckage is clear, and you can see the traffic lights are moving freely right now. Both sides of Highway 41 are back open. It took little effort to move the truck and the pickup truck. It was the bucket truck that took the most effort, a crane and a tow truck.
On the ground, the clock was ticking while firefighters worked to free a man trapped for more than an hour in a bucket truck. He just crashed into the back of a Spalding County fire engine. Chief Mike Bird met us on the highway.
Okay, yes, everybody's alive.
At the same time, a white sheet gave the driver privacy from passing traffic while medics rushed him over to a helicopter, and a pilot quickly flew him to Grady Hospital.
Really can't give you much details about him because it's unknown at this time, but it was a lengthy extra to get him out.
He was driving the electrical bucket truck for X-Power Grid Services around 2:30 Thursday afternoon on Highway 41 northbound, just past School Road. That's when the fire chief said he crashed into the back of this yellow fire engine. already here working another crash. Hearing his team may have been involved, the chief rushed out.
As a fire chief, you worry about your people, and their safety is always a priority. So, yeah, it's upsetting to know that they could have been here, because when I initially got the report, we didn't know.
This gray pickup truck was also caught up in the crash, but the driver was okay. The wreckage blocked both lanes of Highway 41 northbound well into rush hour. Traffic on the southbound side was able to creep past in one lane. Troopers warned drivers to stay home if possible.
And we just got an update from troopers to give us an idea of how this happened. They said the fire truck was parked in the left lane here with the lights flashing, working that other wreck when the driver of the bucket truck could not stop for some reason and rear-ended the fire truck, pushing it to the other lane, and the pickup truck then hit the fire truck. Reporting live in Spalding County, Courtney Francisco, Channel 2 Action News.
Channel 2 Action News Investigates is learning that a contractor who's accused of taking money from an elderly couple is not licensed by the state. The Gwinnett County couple reached out to Channel 2 Action News after they said they paid nearly $20,000 for a new deck, only for the job to remain incomplete. Investigative reporter Ashley Lincoln is live for us now in Gwinnett County. Ashley, what's a contractor saying about all this?
George, he's describing this as a misunderstanding. Told me after our phone calls today he has plans to come out here, clean up this mess, and fix their deck. However, the couple telling me that their communication between this contractor tells a different story.
I guess everybody gets caught at some point in life.
And 78-year-old Patricia Crucifix says that's how she feels after classifying her experience as being taken advantage of.
It got to the point where I couldn't sleep at night because I was so worried about all of this.
She and her husband hired Winder-based company DC Enterprises back in October. The couple says they were originally quoted $5,000 for the job, but several checks later, they described the contractor holding them ransom for money, having paid nearly $20,000.
I get a text message from him. He wanted $7,000 on Friday. And I said, what are you talking about? I just a check for $5,280. That was supposed to cover all of the material that you needed to finish this deck.
Debris and forgotten tools is all there's left to show.
This was left.
I went by this Winder listed as the address for DC Enterprises. No one came to the door. We got a hold of the owner over the phone. They've claimed you've walked away with $20,000. Is that true?
No.
The owner said this was all a misunderstanding.
And I'll be glad to go back and fix anything that's wrong.
He blames a broken truck for the delays.
The computer in my truck went out.
He's very cagey, very cagey.
I looked into the company and confirmed with the Georgia Secretary of State's office, DC Enterprise was under investigation in 2022. The state has since revoked its business license, and the owner is listed on the state's list of contractors, warning consumers that he doesn't have proper credentials. Do you have a license currently?
No, I'm a handyman service.
The owner claims he has no idea about the state investigation.
I don't even know what that means.
How do you feel when you know his name was on the list for the state?
That made me angry because I'm thinking this man is taking unfair advantage of people.
And the contractor is sticking with his story. He says he does plan to come out here next week. In the meantime, the couple told me they did file a police report with Gwinnett County Police. The police department with us, they are aware of this report and they've assigned this case to a detective. Reporting live tonight in Snellville, Ashley Lincoln, Channel 2 Action News.
Tonight, South Fulton police waiting to release the name of a 25-year-old man found dead on the street. We first told you about this yesterday on WSB Tonight. Neighbors say they heard gunshots at Banneker High School off Feldwood Road near the Union City area. South Fulton police say they do not have any suspects.
DeKalb County Police arrested 2 people who they believe broke into more than 60 cars across the metro. Police found stolen firearms and other items on the suspects. Investigators also say the suspects were trying to break into cars at The View at Embry Hills Apartments on Montauk this morning at 3 o'clock. Police caught and arrested the 2 suspects after a chase. Police also found stolen firearms on them whose names are not being released.
A major development could be moving to Fayette County. U.S. Soccer announced plans to build its headquarters there. It'll be near Lee's Mill Road and Veterans Parkway. This is a big deal. We told you back in September that they were looking to relocate from Chicago. Governor Brian Kemp says it's expected to generate more than 400 new jobs and bring a $228 million investment to the area.
Weather on the way for us includes some changes. Cold tonight, a little more mild in the days ahead. Showers and the risk for heavy rain and some thunderstorms. I'll break down that timing on local impacts coming up.
A former UGA graduate is accused of opening fire on a college campus in Las Vegas. At least 3 people are dead. Channel 2 Action News went to Athens today to find out more about his past.
Opponents of a plan to bring hundreds of apartments near a Gwinnett County high school are celebrating after the plan has to go right back to the drawing board. I'm Matt Johnson. Coming up, why those opponents say they're not done fighting.
Closed captioning.
Here, and so what do we know about the case in particular and the lawsuit as well? What more do we know?
Well, we know that this court ruling applies to this particular Texas woman, and it clears the way for her to terminate her high-risk pregnancy. But it has prompted a swift reaction from the Attorney General.
This order gives her the court permission to get the care that she needs.
In the most significant ruling by a district court judge since Roe v. Wade was overturned, Kate Cox is now free to have an abortion in Texas. The Attorney General had denied Cox's petition for a medical exception to the state's abortion ban, even after a team of physicians and specialists said her life and future fertility are at risk because of a severe pregnancy complication. During an online session, her attorneys discussed the ruling and her medical dilemma, now 20 weeks into her pregnancy.
She has gone to weekly ultrasounds for 5 weeks. She has undergone multiple screening tests as well as a diagnostic amniocentesis test. Her health has been assessed by those physicians as well as Dr. Carson. And all of those physicians agree that continuing this pregnancy poses a risk to her life and to her fertility. And I don't know what else to say about the state's position here, other than it is quite clear the state is second-guessing the judgment of her physicians.
Supporters believe the judge's ruling also protects the doctor and anyone else who helps Cox carry out her abortion.
The judge today was quite clear that she intends her order to protect Mr. Cox, as well as Dr. Carson and any staff that is acting to facilitate care for Ms. Cox.
Judge Maya Guerra Gamble, upon issuing the temporary restraining order, emphasized the concern about Cox's future health. The idea that Ms. Cox wants so desperately to be a parent, and this law may have her lose that ability, is shocking and would be a genuine miscarriage of justice. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton doubled down on the state restrictions, arguing that Texas can enforce laws that predate Roe v. Wade and allow private citizens to pursue claims against Cox's doctor. The restraining order, Paxton said, will expire long before the statute.
Highway on the left of your screen with all that activity. It's near Langford Parkway in southwest Atlanta. There's a chemical spill, we're being told. So if you know any drivers who use that, call them, let them know. They should use other ways to get around. Of course, those drivers in the top left-hand corner all the way up there, they're stuck. They're not going anywhere till this is cleaned up. We'll continue to stay on top of this breaking news and let you know when that chemical spill is cleaned up and the road is reopened. Developing tonight, the General Assembly could approve the new congressional district map tomorrow, putting the ball back in a federal court for approval. Channel 2's Richard Elliott is live now at the state capitol for us in downtown Atlanta with how that map, Richard, passed a final hurdle today.
Yeah, actually, the House was able to pass that map right according to party lines as expected. That federal court judge's 516-page ruling can kind of be boiled down to just a couple of sentences, and as Republicans and Democrats interpret them differently.
The yeas are 98, the nays are 71.
The Georgia House approved the new congressional maps 9871 right along party lines, and it preserves the Republican majority in the Georgia delegation 9-5. Federal Court Judge Steve Jones ordered the state to redraw the districts after he said the original ones illegally diluted black voting power and violated the Voting Rights Act. He ordered lawmakers to include a black majority congressional district, which the bill's sponsor says they did.
It fully complies with Judge Jones's order by enacting the required congressional district, and it places that district in West Metro.
But Democrats pointed out that the order to create a new majority black district also contained the line that it can't be done by eliminating what he called a minority opportunity district. Even the congressional district is a minority coalition district, meaning the black, Hispanic, and Asian population together make up about 65% of voters. Democrats insist the Republicans eliminated that coalition by drastically redrawing the 7th out of Gwinnett County. It's also part of Democrat Jasmine Clark's House district. She thinks the GOP violated the judge's intent and that he will not only reject these maps, he'll appoint a special master to redraw them again.
It's going to be sad when the control is taken out of our hands and put into the hands of someone who is probably going to make a lot more people uncomfortable than uncomfortable with the current maps that have been drawn and passed.
To sign these maps sometime tomorrow. Judge Jones, he's going to review these maps at a hearing on the 20th. We could find out what he thinks about them shortly afterwards. We are live at the state capitol. Richard Elliott, Channel 2 Action News.
Now, developing story tonight, a Gwinnett County plan to bring in hundreds of new homes near a high school is on hold, and critics of the proposal are celebrating for now. Channel 2 Gwinnett County Chief Matt Johnson live on Sardis Church Road, and Matt, the county actually pulled the developer's application.
It's a setback for the developers, but the critics of the plan say they're not done fighting yet. The people who are fighting against the apartments coming here say this is not the area for hundreds of new homes, and now they say they have all the momentum.
It's a nice plan, just not for this location.
Neighbors fighting a plan to build hundreds of apartments near Seconder High School in Buford say they're celebrating a win for now.
We're not done fighting.
On Tuesday, the Gwinnett County Planning Department with the application to build off Sardis Church Road and Hamilton Road after months of protest.
They've been hearing from us pretty consistently for about 4 months.
What started as a plan from Brand Properties to build 700 apartments along with retail space has been scaled back. Now their rezoning proposal calls for 327 apartments and 60 townhouses next to the high school, but the entire plan is on hold as the county is forcing developers to formally resubmit their new plan for review by the Planning Commission.
And they did the right thing. That's what they should have done.
Opponents hope that the whole plan is scrapped and the county can buy the land from Jack MC to develop a park.
These kids can literally walk from school to this park.
Mark Johnson with the Seconder Athletic Association says there are 5,000 kids in the area without a park to call home.
It makes sense for a park to be adjacent to Seconder High School.
He expects developers to resubmit early next year, as every option should be on the table so that a park is built instead.
We're pressuring our elected officials to apply for eminent domain.
Now, no official reason has been given by the Planning Department or the Planning Commission about why the application was withdrawn, but opponents here are expecting for this to come up again in February. Live in Gwinnett County, Matt Johnson, Channel 2 Action News.
The site of a motel known for will now housing. The motel is along Moreland Avenue at I-20 in southeast Atlanta. It was built in 1965. Now, each of the 54 rooms will turn into somebody's home, and it's geared toward people making less than $10,000 a year. In the next 30 minutes, we're going to hear from people familiar with the area and how they feel about this plan.
An assistant principal at a Bartow County middle school now faces DUI charges. Bartow County Schools confirms Gregory DeWitt Hedden was released from jail early this morning. Police arrested him Wednesday night, charged him with DUI. Hedden works at Cass Middle School.
Atlanta-based Delta Airlines says just in time for the holiday travel season, it's starting to use artificial intelligence to set prices for premium products. The airline says those prices fluctuate with demand, and AI technology can help analysts with those calculations. Delta says it also hopes to use AI to improve the speed of customer service.
Police say this man stole engagement rings from Metro Atlanta jewelry stores.
He wanted a big diamond, and he wanted to buy it today. He had to buy it today. That was his thing.
In a Channel 2 Action News exclusive, a jeweler tells us step by step how he did it.
There's a new effort now to get homeless people off the streets. We're going to tell you about an old motel that will be turned into affordable housing.
Plus, a witness tells the courtroom what happened just moments before police say a woman shot and killed an accused hit-and-run driver.
On WSB Tonight, it's new local...
$9.99. Year-end deadline. To the dump, to the dump, to the dump, dump, dump.
That's where Fox News multimedia reporter Chelsea Torres is standing by, and Chelsea joins me. Chelsea, you've been there all week. What are you seeing today?
Hey, Andrew. Well, today it's actually a little bit slower than it has been even just the past 2 to 3 days. I mean, yesterday was night and day to what it looks like right now. And I mean, you can tell behind me there really isn't much action going on. But it's surprising because DPS did say that there's been 17,000 migrants that were caught just along the Del Rio sector. And that also includes here in Eagle Pass. You know, Del Rio is only about an hour and a half or so away. But it's important to know that those 17,000 migrants are not the kinds of migrants that are just getting away, those gotaways. They're also not the ones that are even coming through the ports of entry. They're the ones that are just crossing illegally, and they end up getting caught by Border Patrol. And DPS tells me that this is more than they typically see around this time of year, and especially along the southern border, and it's really a strain on their resources. Now, border officials say most of the migrants arriving here in Eagle Pass are riding trains from Mexico. Then, once they end up getting closer to the border, a human smuggler usually shows them exactly where they should be crossing. Now, Border Patrol is stretched thin, working ports of entry and processing those migrants. DPS says they've moved some teams from criminal enforcement over to water rescues in the Rio Grande. This video that you see is just one of the many water rescues done every week. To catch human smugglers, though, or even drug traffickers, DPS also increased commercial vehicle inspections from Mexico. But border officials still see migrants crossing on a daily basis.
Seeing probably one of the largest influxes of illegal immigration that we've ever experienced in the last 3 years, especially just take into account, I believe it was on Tuesday, we had the single highest number of encounters, over 12,000 in a single day across the southwest border. So that right there is evident that the situation is getting much worse by the day.
I mean, those are some big numbers that Border Patrol and other agencies are really having to deal with here, at least in the along the Texas border. And DPS did confirm that Border Patrol right now has about 22,000 migrants in custody, which means they are just waiting to be processed. I've heard that the processing facilities have been overrun. They're at capacity, and that's really because here in Eagle Pass, there were so many migrants that came through, thousands that came through just in the past few days. And of course, as I mentioned before, there's only maybe 20 now. They're under that bridge over there. And it's been slow for the past couple of hours. So we'll see how long this lasts. Andrew?
You know, Chelsea, you're in South Texas. This is playing out as well in Arizona, but it's also playing out on Capitol Hill as Republicans and Democrats are really wrangling over how to get more funding to shore up the southern border, the defenses there to protect the southern border, to stem some of these illegal migrant flows. But you're at one of these epicenters here. What are you going to be looking for in the next couple of days? I don't know how long you're going to be there, but you said today compared to previous days, not as bad.
Yeah, today is not as bad as the past few days, because past few days, especially yesterday and on Tuesday, there were thousands just huddled up around that orange little center there. But let me tell you, we talked on Monday about how the one part of the port of entry is closed to vehicular traffic, so people cannot drive into the U.S. if you're coming from Mexico. So what does that mean? If you can kind of see behind me, all of those are commercial trucks. So there's also regular vehicles in here that are coming through, but it's just commercial trucks. Now, DPS has actually increased their inspections, and because of that, all of these trucks are having to wait hours upon hours upon hours. These are trucks that are going to all parts of the country, giving produce, giving fuel, any types of things. So that's what I'm really going to be working on the next few days. I will be here up until Monday. And I've talked to a lot of people, a lot of locals even have come around, and they've said how it's just, they're even surprised how this is really affecting their own economy. It's how it's affecting businesses when you cut off ports of entry, but then when you also have so many resources having to come and focus on things like this as opposed to other parts of the border.
All right, Chelsea Torres there live for us in Eagle Pass. Chelsea, we'll talk soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Andrew.
All right, in the meantime, we do want to kind of continue with this story here. We're going to move from Texas, though, to Arizona. Remember, the port of entry at Lukeville, Arizona was closed starting Monday on an indefinite temporary basis because of the huge influx of illegal migrants. Fox News correspondent Bill Melugin is still there down in Lukeville. I want to put up one of his tweets from today. This video you can see, he says, another enormous line of hundreds upon hundreds of adult men from around the globe crossed illegally into Lukeville, Arizona last night and are now waiting for Border Patrol to take custody of them as they expect to be released into the United States. Non-stop flow of illegal crossings here. That's according to Bill there. And so we have another video as well. Bill asking some of the men who crossed illegally into Lukeville, Arizona, where they plan on going in the United States. They named off cities all over America. None of the men we've talked to the last few days say they're seeking asylum. All want to work or link with family, and they expect release. So Bill asking some of them where they plan to go within the interior of the United States. Senator Kyrsten Sinema, of course, from Arizona, the Independent, she calls this, and you see there, you can see where some of them are answering. Omaha, Detroit, South Carolina. I was saying Kyrsten Sinema calls this economic migration, because a lot of these individuals, they're not seeking asylum, they're not fleeing war or persecution, they just want to work. So we wanted to make sure we got that in there as well. Also, take a look at this. This is from the U.S. Border Patrol chief there, saying mass incursions continue to occur throughout the San Diego sector area of operations. Yesterday, 75 people were guided by callous smugglers over the border wall near San Isidro. You see there kind of this nighttime radar footage, a time lapse of all of these illegal migrants climbing the border wall and crossing over. This is near San Diego in the San Isidro sector. So this is definitely a story we have to stay on top of. The border crisis not abating anytime soon, truthfully ramping up, accelerating, and we'll see whether or not Congress or the White House can get their act together and come to some type of agreement in this supplemental aid package that is being talked about. Remember that failed on the Senate floor last night, whether or not there's going to be any compromise on how much money to put towards shoring up the southern border there. So take
to LaGrange, Griffin at 47 or 52 in Atlanta. No threat for rain now, but that's going to change in the days ahead. So weather on the way for us includes cold temperatures again tonight. We're headed back to the 30s, but up above freezing tomorrow morning. A warming trend gets us, at least for this time of year, warmer into the low to mid 60s for highs, and showers and storms are back in the forecast. So here's how it's going to impact us on a 1-3 scale or maybe a 0 to 3. Tomorrow, dry, no impact from rain. I'll give it a medium 2 on Saturday, and then some more significant impacts on Sunday. Not all day long, but heavy rain at times, even the risk for a few embedded thunderstorms. Let me take you through it here, starting with lows tonight, near freezing in the mountains, but the rest of us mid to upper 30s. 39 in Atlanta is cold, but not unusual for first week of December. Average low is 40. Now you get outside the perimeter, the suburbs down in the mid-20s with some breaks in the clouds early, thicker clouds later in the day. With a southerly wind, we'll see some warmer air come up, so we'll top out generally in the low 60s. Then for Saturday, cloudy, scattered showers in the morning. This is 8 a.m. Off and on showers scattered through the daytime hours on Saturday. Nothing more than kind of a nuisance. And then by late Saturday evening into the night, line of severe storms towards the west moving in our direction. So overnight Saturday night into Sunday 7 a.m. some heavier rain and some storms through. I expect these will not be as strong by the time they make it to Georgia as they will be earlier in the day out towards the west, but nonetheless, heavy rain, gusty winds, and of course with this front coming through, it sticks around until it pushes to the east, and dry air coming in will dry out by Sunday late afternoon into the evening hours. It'll be widespread, heavy at times, purple, 1 to 2 inches. Some spots north of Atlanta in the red could have over 2 inches of rainfall. Severe weather risk area on Saturday is to our west, mainly over the Mississippi River Valley. 5-day forecast with the weekend always in view shows the dry weather tomorrow, 62. Scattered showers off and on through the day Saturday. Thunderstorms Saturday night and first half of the day Sunday. We'll be fine-tuning that forecast as that system approaches. And then chilly but dry to start next week. Fish and game forecast tomorrow in the
We get into Saturday midday, and look at those showers right over the capital of the natural state, Little Rock, pushing towards Jonesboro. Get a little bit of that orographic lift from the Ozark mountain range. They're only about 2,200 feet in elevation, but that's enough. And that's just going to be the ignition, right? The start of this event. And then you have this line that's going to be coming in, and the collision course is going to be with that humid air. You see those, you see the wind coming in out of the northwest. And so that is why we look at this region as that secondary severe season. I know it's been lackluster through November. December has been relatively quiet, but you can't let your guard down. Something we're just building that awareness is that even thunderstorms in and of themselves with lightning can be dangerous if you have outdoor plans. So looking at the potential for that rotation, and is there going to be tornadic conditions possible? You have that natural rotation, and it goes to those spots. And a quick reminder, you go back 2 years ago into Mayfield, Kentucky, not too far from the date we're talking about right now, December 10th, where a powerful EF4 tornado ripped through, is why we need to stay vigilant through early December. So that was a look at what could unpack over the weekend. This is what actually happened earlier today. This is out of Pennsylvania, where more snow is expected for the interior Northeast this weekend. As you look here, a great opportunity in Jennersville, Pennsylvania, to get some snow, and not the kind that kind of just melts instantly. That actually stuck a little bit. That looks pretty good. It won't be sticking around for long because it's going to be very warm as we head into the weekend. We're talking potentially record high warm. Here's that low pressure. And notice this word that we have. I'm going to highlight it there. Stronger low pressure. This is stronger than what we were tracking on Saturday. So when we look at this, as it ramps up over the jet stream, it is going to intensify and gain that energy into Sunday night into Monday morning. Here's the opportunity for that snow on the backside of this system. You're looking at upstate New York, Adirondacks, and then you get to those spots, along the Great Lakes region on the southern shores as that cold air spills in from the north and northwest. And can't overlook what's happening in West Virginia too, where you look at those spots where they could get 5 to 8 inches of snow. But I-95 corridor, not a snow event at all. It's a major wind event, and it's going to be a rain event. And if you ever travel I-95, that's the last thing you want to deal with. There's already a bunch of people on the roads. This is 10 a.m. and we are using a long-range model, so I think it's a little, robust and a little widespread with this. But as we get closer, you'll get the high-resolution models. But what this is telling you is even with long-range models, it is showing you how potent this rain can be. And you're looking at the rain rates starting to enhance as we get into the overnight hours and Monday morning. So now the new work week is upon us, and you got this mess that is starting to form up here in the Northeast and the New England region. Here's the good news. By Monday night, it's kicking out. So New York, as an example, expect the rain on Sunday. Really starts the rain and then lasts through early Monday before. All right, let's take it back out to the Pacific Northwest, where, of course, we've been tracking that relentless rain, which has left entire communities underwater. An atmospheric river has been slamming Washington and Oregon, leading to rivers just overflowing their banks. And there's more rain expected here in the coming days. So Fox Weather's Max Gordon reports from Stanwood, Washington.
Here in the community of Stanwood, they were hit hard by this flooding event, but the good news is that water levels are now going down. They've receded about 3 to 4 feet just over the past day, but as you can see right here, well, there's still plenty of water left over. Officials say that this water could linger for the next couple of days. Fields turned into, well, essentially inland oceans at this point. But I want to show you something interesting here that the city of Stanwood did. They constructed this berm, essentially just taking dirt and piling it over this road here to prevent the floodwaters from getting into the town, and it appears that it worked. You can actually see the water line from the floodwaters just get about a foot or so onto that berm, so some good news there. Here's what some parts of Stanwood looked like on Wednesday. You can see homes here surrounded by water, cars and trucks submerged. Sheriff's officials we've talked to here say that Wednesday was a busy day with rescues as the water flooded in. The cleanup remains ongoing in other communities like Savannah, Washington. The Stillaguamish River, which runs nearby, crested Tuesday at major flood stage, setting a new record for the area. During the height of this flooding, the town was only reachable by boat. Driveways and roads eroded away because of the powerful rushing water. Some people had to pump their basements out after they flooded with stormwater, and businesses were forced to close so employees could wash out silt and debris.
I mean, I knew it flooded around here, but not like this. The record, it was not a good time.
Well, my car kind of got sunk. It was too low in the ground, I guess. It's a green one back there, and the water went all, it was up over the hood.
This atmospheric river event has had major impacts across the Pacific Northwest. In the Portland area, 2 separate deaths are being investigated after a man was found entangled in tree branches in a creek on Tuesday morning, and another man drowned in a separate creek on Monday after bystanders saw him fall in. Back here in western Washington, officials are warning folks to be careful when they return to flooded out homes and businesses. It's important they turn the power off so they don't get electrocuted. Watch out for any leaks with gas pipes or sewage lines, and that they make sure that the water is still drinkable. In Stanwood, Washington, Max Gordon, Fox Weather.
All right, thank you, Max. And so we're going to be talking about how this Thursday is just the ignition of the next waves that will be pushing through over the weekend. But before we get to that, I want to show you what the last 5 days was like in the Pacific Northwest and why there are so many of those dramatic visuals and stories that Max has been able to tell, because you're looking at over 16 inches of rain at Mount St. Helens, right? And you would think, okay, that's a mountain. How many people live there? Well, then look at the rest of the list, right? And those are going to be communities. And that is pushing over a foot. And there's really nowhere on this earth that can take a foot of rain in that small amount of time and be able to walk away or withstand that, right? And be able to not have damage. And that's why there's that concern about more rain and snow coming back in, because people are trying to dry out. They're trying to rebuild. They're trying to clean up still. And you look at the past 6 hours, it's just been spurts, right? It's been isolated pocket areas that are an inch or so or less, but that could still be enough to still create some damage because of what we've already seen. That's what's happening into Northern California, the Sierra Nevada. Notice as we push over, this region is the Pacific Northwest. This overlaying right here is considered the Great Basin, and that is where you're starting to see it kind of get shred apart. It's no longer a massive line of storms, but it is now more of an isolated threat. But again, we're going to get more waves of this coming in. And my concern would be what happens. Here's Saturday's event. We get good snow again for the Cascades Cascades and the mountainous terrain. But notice what happened Saturday night into Sunday. The snow levels climbed yet again. And that means you're getting rain back on top of that snow, back into the foothills, and that's going to be rushing down. And that was the biggest problem out of these last events in the last 5 days, was that Pineapple Express, that warm air created record highs and allowed to see some significant rain totals that fell on top of snow and led to those flooding. Look at that there. Coastal area is still getting at least 3 to 5 more inches of rain. All right, let's take you now into the south to Dallas, where they are enjoying some warmer weather this holiday season. That's all ahead of what the storms could be like on Saturday. But notice that, upper 60s right now, and you're noticing the portion of the day. It's the evening time, right? The sun has already set, and so it was quite warm today. But it's not just exclusively for Dallas and Texas. Notice the record highs. The majority of those are in the northern plains or into the upper Midwest. And then you have a few spots that are in big sky country and the western side of Montana that had record highs today. So it shows you that warmth is really lifting north. Now, what happens as this jet stream carries that high pressure and moves it to the east, right? Because we're going to see this peak really on Saturday. And then it's going to start to erode away. But who's warmer? Here's the question for you. Jacksonville versus OKC. We'll give you a little hint. OKC is 18 degrees above average. Jacksonville is 4 degrees below average. But even with that, you're going to have OKC still warmer, right? And it just shows you why there could be that severe weather on Saturday, because you're going to have that cold air, overlay it here. Why is there that gray on the screen? That's that cold air, cold front coming through, but it's clashing with that warm air that's expanding and drifting to the east. Looking at Sunday's potential record warmth, we do have New York City, JFK, I should say, has that potential not only to break the record, but really a significant record to be broken, because you're looking at surpassing that by 3 degrees at least. And then you have New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut all represented here. So it's widespread, especially for coastal areas. And while we're talking about a major wind and rain event for those spots along the I-95 corridor, Monday, notice those areas like Erie, Rochester, Buffalo, Burlington, their temperatures are dropping, and that's why they could potentially get some snow. For Boston, by the way, enjoy the warmth while you got it if you like it, because next week it's coming back down. Still ahead, the wild adventures of an extreme kayaker. He's paddled through the ice tunnels of a glacial river and gone down an ice waterfall. And he's here to share his world travelers, something you're not going to want to miss. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Montel Williams. The Medicare annual enrollment period is now, and it doesn't last long. This is the time of the year to make sure you're in the right plan at the right price with the right coverage for you. Look, it's a lot to sort through on your own, with complex plans, changing coverages and benefits, or even knowing if your doctor is still covered. It can all be very confusing, but I'm here to try to help make things just a little easier. Just remember the 3 C's. First, make the free call to the number on your screen now and speak with a licensed insurance agent who can walk you through your existing coverage and the Medicare Advantage plans with benefits available in your area. Second, our partners offer plans from Humana, Aetna, Anthem, United Healthcare, Kaiser Permanente, Cigna, WellCare, so you can compare options, pricing, and coverage across multiple carriers. Third, choose the plan with the benefits that are right for you and your needs.
I called to make sure I understood all the plans and benefits available in my area.
I called to see what coverage and benefits changed in my plan.
I called to make sure my doctors are still covered by my plan.
For a free no-obligation consultation, call 800-862-0815. That's 800-862-0815.
Folks, I make the call every year as soon as the Medicare annual enrollment period starts, because it makes the whole process easy and stress-free for me. Plus, I know what coverage and benefits I'm getting, and I have no surprises for the next year.
I call to find the plan that fits my needs for next year.
I call every year to compare plans that fit my needs.
It's a free call, a free consultation, and there's no obligation. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th. Get started on your 3 C's and make the call to speak to a licensed insurance agent now.
For a free no obligation consultation, call 800-862-0815. That's 800-862-0815. 800-862-0815.
Welcome back to Fox Weather Live. Look at this incredible video of an extreme kayaker paddling through icy waterfalls and whitewater rapids. Incredible. Aniol Sarasolsis is a real adventure seeker and has seen all kinds of extreme weather, and he joins us right now. What a pleasure. Aniol, thank you for being with us. The footage is jaw-dropping. I want to know what it feels like, though. What's the adrenaline like as you're riding through the rapids?
Well, this was once in a lifetime kind of thing, and it really felt amazing. Just, you can imagine navigating through that ice and being able to do those waterfalls. It's truly a dream and one of the most unique experiences of my life, for sure.
This is incredible, and I got to ask you, like, how do you train for this or prepare for this? Is this something that you've done before? Have you gone to ice-capped rivers and, tested it before?
I have a little bit, but I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty cold out there, so I definitely did a few cold plunges. But basically, you just try to stay in shape and kayak tons and be ready for it, both mentally and physically. Be ready for it, yeah.
I mean, I've heard that cold baths are good, right? Ice baths, but it's a whole nother thing when you're coming off of a glacier. And when we look at that there, I mean, that is a significant drop. Can you kind of estimate, like, how big of a drop? You were getting a good vantage point right there, and what it felt like to come off of that glacial waterfall.
Well, this one felt really good. It's been a long time dream of mine, so to be able to see that place and to actually run the waterfall of my dreams, that is sort of a perfect waterfall. When I see that waterfall, I'm pretty happy about it. It's just straight up perfect, and to do it successfully, it was really a dream come true.
Would you say that's like 50, 60 feet, you think? Or, because, I mean, that looks massive when we're looking at it here from the different vantage points Yeah,
I would say it's about 65 feet, and there were bigger ones, but it's really complicated to get up there. So you'll have to see the full film that is coming out in January, and that's where you're going to be able to see how we got up there and the entire process, which is pretty...
Yeah, truly incredible. Yeah, you know what? I even overlooked that. Aniol, is how you even got there. Incredible. I do want to ask you, because I've done some kayaking, nothing like this, but you have some control in a river. But now I'm looking at this and the snow is melting and it's icy there. So how do you kind of keep control with the different speeds and as it twists along and it's icy there?
Well, you just do it through experience. I've been kayaking for many years, so at some point you are able to see a river and read it, and just like you read the weather, you can see patterns and you can predict what it's going to do before you actually get in there. But the ice is something different. It's another game, and it's unpredictable and unstable, so that is the dangerous part. You don't want to stay in there for too long. You get in, you get out as fast as you can.
So I feel like there's got to be a fine balance, right? Because like you had said, it's fun when you're looking at it like this and you're in tune with the water, but then it gets too icy. So what are kind of the perfect weather conditions for you when you're eyeing something like this to go kayaking?
Well, perfect weather conditions are in Colombia with sunny weather and clear skies and warm water. But on this occasion, you just want the ice to melt, so it creates these rivers. But yeah, it's definitely sad to see them melting that fast, for sure. That's a big issue we have.
Real quick, Aniol, because we got to go. I do want to ask you, since you've gone all over the world, is there a favorite spot for you to go kayaking?
Too many to name one, but I love kayaking in Pakistan, British Columbia, California, Chile, where I live. It's too many good places out there.
Yeah,
Many good rivers.
Yeah, why limit yourself to one? And British Columbia and California would be quite a spot right now after those atmospheric rivers. They would be churning. Aniol Sarasolis, thank you so much for being on with us here on Fox Weather and sharing those incredible visuals.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a good night.
And we are going to be talking about how just under 3 weeks until Christmas, and New York City is decked out for the holidays, including right outside our Fox Weather headquarters, where the all-American Christmas tree is dazzling tourists and New Yorkers alike. Right now, it is shining bright. Fox Weather meteorologist Nick Koser, you join us now, and no pressure. You got to follow that extreme kayaker there.
Yeah. Thanks for setting me up for failure, producers. Way to go.
I feel like there was maybe some of that energy, though, represented out on the streets as well here in New York.
As passionate as he was about kayaking, I am that passionate about spreading Christmas cheer. My name is Nick, after all, so it's in my nature. And so I figured I'd go out there and just test the pulse of New York, see if people are excited about Christmas, and if they weren't, I was going to make sure that they were by giving them the present of Fox Weather. Take a look. How do you get your weather information?
Apps, through apps.
Okay. Well, you are now on the naughty list. Congratulations. Let me give you a present here. I think you'll find this very useful. Just open that up. Oh, wow, look at that. It's a QR code. I wonder what that... If you pull out your phone, look at that! It takes you right to the Fox Weather app. What's on your Christmas list this year?
Peace on earth, goodwill for men.
Forget about all that stuff. Let me tell you what you should put on your list.
Okay.
The Fox Weather app. How do you guys get your weather information? Do you use an app?
Well, I actually have Fox Weather.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
Since you guys have the Fox Weather app, I've got a little present. Go ahead and open that up. See what's in store. I wore one of them, so I hope I got the dandruff out of there.
That's okay.
You know what? If I'm going to keep giving out these gifts, I feel like I should dress the part. There's a present for you. That's a QR code that will take you right to the Fox Weather app if you scan it. Sound good? Merry Christmas! Scan it. Amazing. Yeah.
What's going on? Christmas came early, drunk.
Innocent, it sparked controversy due to racial implications. According to TechCrunch, Google, claiming the line wasn't added by them, apologized and promised to review their processes. The incident highlighted oversights in thoughtful messaging for diverse audiences, especially in the post-2020 era of heightened support for Black communities.
And Gwen Henderson is launching Black English Bookstore in Tampa Heights, Florida, to offer diverse literature. Focused on Black authored books, her store aims to fill gaps in available literature. Henderson drew inspiration from James Baldwin's essay and aims to empower through education. Teens provided feedback on book choices, guiding the store's selection. Blavity reports that her initiative stems from a past bookstore's closure, emphasizing inclusion and diversity in literature, fostering a space she'd want to visit herself. For more international, national, state, and local news impacting the Black community, listen to the Black Information Network on the iHeartRadio app or log on to BINnews.com. Make sure that you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Black Information Network and on X at BlackInfoNet. I'm John Marshall, along with Bree Wood, on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
The Black community's only 24/7 News network wants to hear from you. Use the TalkBack feature in the latest version of the iHeartRadio app to record a message. Just click the microphone button in the bottom corner and share your thoughts.
America's trusted Black voice.
The Black Information Network.
Atlanta's BIN 640.
Your money, on the Black Information Network.
JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon is blasting cryptocurrencies. In recent remarks to Congress, Dimon says Bitcoin and other digital currencies should be banned. The head of the biggest U.S. bank by assets made his comment in response to questions from Senator Elizabeth Warren. Dimon told the Massachusetts Democrat the only true use case for crypto is for criminals, drug traffickers, money laundering, and avoiding taxes. Dimon says if he was the government, he would shut it down. Meanwhile, you or someone you know might be getting a new gun for Christmas. Firearm sales set a new Black Friday record, and dealers say many of the purchases were people looking to buy gifts.
We see a lot of people coming in and buying personal protection guns, especially a lot of them with their wives or girlfriends.
Johnny Dury runs Dury's Guns in San Antonio, Texas. He says on top of Christmas presents, people are also buying guns for hunting season. The FBI completed about 215,000 background checks on Black Friday. That is up more than 11% from last year. Money news at 24 and 54 minutes past each hour. I'm Nicole Deal on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Trusted news 24/7.
The Black Information Network.
Atlanta's BIN 640.
I'm Bree Wood.
And I'm John Marshall on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
The College Board is revisiting the framework for its Advanced Placement African American Studies course months after it became the target of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and other state officials. AP courses help high school students earn college credit, but the African American Studies course was accused by critics of trying to politically indoctrinate students. The new framework, officially launching next year, excludes topics like the Black queer experience, but still mentions the Black Lives Matter movement. It also mentions former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick's protest against police brutality during the national anthem as an area for further study.
Whole Foods Markets is facing a legal challenge from a group of employees who claim they were discriminated and retaliated against for wearing Black Lives Matter masks at work.
The case was previously dismissed by a federal judge in Boston, Massachusetts in January. According to Bloomberg Law, the employees allege that the company violated Title VII of the Civil Rights Act by selectively enforcing a dress code policy that bans slogans, messages, logos, or advertising that are not company related. Whole Foods, which is owned by Amazon, argues that it enforced the dress code policy uniformly and that it did not target the employees because of their race or support for BLM. I'm Mimi Brown on the Black Information Network.
A new poll reveals that former members of Congress are worried about the possibility of violence in the 2024 presidential election. The poll, conducted by the U.S. Association of Former Members of Congress, surveyed 237 former lawmakers from both parties. It found that the vast majority of them expressed concern that the 2024 election will result in violence. The poll also showed that the majority of Republican ex-legislators acknowledged that Joe Biden legitimately won the 2020 election.
And the Youth Performing Arts Program in Chicago, Illinois is hosting its 14th annual Christmas Duets Mentoring Concert and Fundraiser on December 10th. Timeless Gifts will feature professional artists and aspiring young artists performing duets of Christmas and holiday-inspired music at the event. The concert also aims to raise funds for the program's summer activities. The concert will take place at the Reva and David Logan Center. For details, visit timelessgifts.org. I'm Bree Wood, along with John Marshall, on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network. Now here's Mike Island with your Healthy Minutes.
There's helpful news for those who have recently learned that they have type 2 diabetes. There are resources to support those who have just been diagnosed with the disease, and they provide newly diagnosed patients with the right information and tools at the right time to help them manage their disease and improve their lives. They are designed to provide lifestyle education and offer guidance and support to help people learn how to manage and live well with diabetes, including information on food and nutrition, stress and emotions, physical activity, and
Georgia 5 evening drawings. Hey everybody, play Quick Win, the new progressive jackpot games that you could win instantly. Jackpots start at $50,000 and grow from there. Go to GALottery.com for details. Now, let's play Cash 3. Your first winning number is 0, followed by 5, and your final winning number is 5. Again, if you have numbers 0, 5, and 5, way to go. On to Cash 4 now. Here we go. First winning number is 4. That's followed by 1. Up next, we have 8, and your final winning number is 9. Again, if you have numbers 4, 1, 8, and 9 in any winning combination, congratulations. On to Georgia 5. Here we go. Your first winning number is 2. That's followed by 2. Your next number is 7. That's followed by 7. And your final winning number is 4. Again, those Those Georgia 5 numbers are 2, 2, 7, 7, and 4. Good luck and play on, Georgia.
Woodstock's biggest stories are live on Channel 2 Action News.
Tonight, breaking news, the chilling video just in. The takedown in the deadly shooting on campus, the suspect, a professor. In New York, the shooting outside a synagogue on this first night of Hanukkah. And this powerful cross-country storm right into the east. First in Las Vegas, the images just in tonight, that takedown of the suspect on campus. A longtime professor elsewhere who was turned down for a job. And authorities say he had a list. Whit Johnson standing by in Las Vegas. In upstate New York tonight, on this first night of Hanukkah, shots fired outside a synagogue in Albany. Tonight, state police and the National Guard now on alert. Senior investigative reporter Aaron Katursky standing by. Tonight, the Israel-Hamas war, and just in, what Israel is now considering what they might do inside those tunnels in Gaza, where they believe Hamas operatives and leaders are hiding. James Longman in Israel. In the U.S., this powerful cross-country storm moving from the west, 10 states right now under winter alerts for heavy rain, snow, damaging winds. Then this all moves quickly right into the northeast. When this hits, Rob Marciano tracking it all. In Texas tonight, the young woman with her husband. She is 20 weeks pregnant. Her doctors say her health is in danger because of complications. Going before a judge in Texas after being told in that state she cannot have an abortion. Tonight, the judge's ruling and how the state is now responding. The race for president tonight, former President Trump in New York for his civil fraud trial, again skipping the debate. The 4 candidates who want to beat him for the nomination, trailing Trump by 40 to 50 points, and only one candidate willing to take on Trump, John Carl, on the moment. Tonight, the on-duty U.S. Marshal arrested following a Delta flight from New York, what he's accused of. The scare involving actor Chevy Chase, his fall off the stage right into the audience. Derek Huff from Dancing with the Stars revealing the medical scare for his wife, the emergency surgery. And what happened 82 years ago today. Tonight here, the heroes who have gone back. America Strong.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to be with us here on a Thursday night. We do begin tonight with this dramatic video just in after the deadly campus shooting at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. The takedown of the gunman who was 67 and a longtime professor who was rejected for a job at the university's business school. Officers with guns drawn rushing into the building looking for the shooter as students were in classrooms hearing the gunshots. This is the newly released surveillance video tonight, the moment officers took him down, finding him outside the building. The gunman chasing an officer around a patrol car, the officer then returning fire. Tonight, 2 of the dead now identified, Patricia Navarro, an assistant professor in the accounting department, and Professor Cha Jeng Cheng, known as Jerry. Tonight, authorities say it is unclear if they were intentionally targeted, but they say the suspect did have a list. ABC's Whit Johnson leading us off on the scene in Las Vegas tonight.
Tonight, authorities releasing this chilling video showing the moment the UNLV gunman was taken down by police. You see the suspect in the long coat, armed with a handgun, chasing one officer around a patrol car before that officer returned fire, killing the suspect.
These 2 detectives are heroes. They risked their lives in order to save countless others, and as the sheriff pointed out, what could have been a bloodbath.
Authorities revealing photos of the gunman's arsenal, including 9 magazines. 67-year-old Anthony Polito was a former professor who had applied for a position at UNLV but was not hired. Police say they have 22 letters that the suspect sent to university personnel across the country. One letter contained an unknown white powder, and he had a list of people he was seeking at UNLV and his former university.
All of the UNLV faculty members have been notified, and all but one of the Carolina faculty members have been notified, and that individual has not been contacted because they're on an overseas flight.
Paul Whittington was in one of Polito's classes at East Carolina, where he taught for 15 years.
He kept a running log of every single negative thing students said about him. You know, one of the things that always stood out to me that made me uncomfortable was he would try to figure out who wrote the negative feedback.
In his writings, Polito dove deep into conspiracy theories and mysteries, claiming he had decoded messages from the infamous Zodiac Killer. Authorities say it was Polito who yesterday, just before noon, launched his deadly rampage in UNLV's business school, opening fire with a handgun at victims on multiple floors. The first campus police officer on scene within 1 minute and 18 seconds. After hearing the first shots, senior Mike Henderson barricading himself in a classroom with others, then calling his father.
I said, "Dad, I have to go. If this is the last time we talk, I love you." And then I hung up the phone.
Officers finally reaching Mike's classroom, leading them to safety outside.
I saw someone who was face down. It looked like he had been shot in the back.
And tonight, we're learning about some of the victims. 39-year-old Patricia Navarro-Velez, an assistant professor in the accounting department, and 64-year-old professor Cha Jan Chang, known as Jerry. Police say none of the victims were among the suspects' listed targets.
And David, on the suspect's criminal past, police say he had a decades-old conviction for computer trespassing, but the gun he owned was purchased legally. They also say he was struggling financially. There was an eviction notice actually taped to his front door, and that he'd applied to a number of jobs at Nevada universities, but was turned down at all of them. David.
Whit Johnson on the scene in Las Vegas for us. We're also following a developing story in upstate New York tonight on this first night of Hanukkah. The alarming scene when shots were fired outside a synagogue in Albany. Preschoolers were still inside. Tonight, state police and National Guard have been put on alert. Here's our senior investigative correspondent, Aaron Katursky.
Police said shots were fired outside Temple Israel in Albany around 2 in the afternoon, just hours before the start of Hanukkah. The synagogue's preschool was in session and put on lockdown.
The suspect is a 28-year-old local resident who is walking around outside the synagogue acting very suspicious. According to witnesses, he fired off a round from a shotgun while making threatening statements.
Nobody was hurt. The shooter taken into custody.
We were told by responding officers that he made a comment, free Palestine.
Since the October 7th start of the Israel-Hamas war, law enforcement agencies have warned of a spike in anti-Semitic and Islamophobic crimes in the U.S.
This is not a time for panic, but it is a time for vigilance. And people should make no mistake that we are in a more dangerous time than we've been in a while.
Just yesterday, the Department of Homeland Security issued these safety guidelines for synagogues and mosques, warning the threat of violence from individuals radicalized in the United States will remain high, marked by lone offenders or small group attacks that occur with little warning. Police believe the Albany suspect is emotionally disturbed, has a lengthy criminal history, and was acting alone. Tonight, David, the authorities are deciding whether the shooting should be charged as a hate crime. David?
All right, Aaron Katursky in New York for us. Aaron, thank you. Meantime, tonight does mark 2 months now since the Hamas terror attack on Israel. And this evening, a U.S. official now telling ABC News that Israel is considering flooding Hamas's tunnels where they believe militants and operatives are still hiding. ABC's James Longman in Israel tonight.
Tonight, Israel now considering a plan to flush out the tunnels under Gaza where Hamas leaders are believed to be hiding. A U.S. official telling ABC News they want to degrade Hamas capabilities, possibly pumping in seawater to flood that underground network. And it comes as new video circulates online from Gaza showing rows of men in their underwear with hands behind their backs, surrounded by Israeli soldiers, while others are loaded into military vehicles. Israel says they captured more than 150 Hamas terror suspects in the north of the Strip. But we pressed the IDF on the claim they're linked to Hamas.
Who are these people? Do you consider these to be terrorists or are they civilians?
Israel does not arrest, apprehend, or target anyone in the Gaza Strip that is not a Hamas terrorist or poses an imminent threat to Israel.
But the Committee to Protect Journalists says Palestinian correspondent Dia Al-Khalout was among those detained, and they're demanding his release. And we spoke to Hani Al-Madhoun, who lives in Washington, D.C. He says he saw his brother Mahmoud in that video, and he says he's not a terrorist.
Absolute terrorist. It's a violence. This is my little brother. I know him, but he's not involved in anything. They're not fighters, and certainly they weren't surrendering because they weren't doing anything.
More than 17,000 have been killed so far in Gaza, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. Neighborhood after neighborhood destroyed. And in Israel tonight, 2 months to the day since Hamas launched the deadliest terror attack in Israel's history, the nation is remembering the 1,200 people murdered. Efrat Moore's cousin Omar is among them. She says the Israeli government is not prioritizing the release of the remaining hostages.
We need to see action. We cannot
wait anymore. We need to understand what's going on. We need negotiation. We need someone. We need something to happen.
And tonight, as Israelis join Jews around the world, marking the first day of Hanukkah, the wounds are still raw.
Is there something about going into Hanukkah which makes this period especially difficult or especially moving?
I don't feel like the joy and the happiness in the life of Hanukkah, not when they going through Holocaust. I think this is the way to describe what they are going through, Holocaust. So I don't feel like celebrating Hanukkah.
Now, 2 months after this attack on Israel, let's bring in James Longman in Tel Aviv for us again tonight. James, I want to go back to what you reported there on the Hamas tunnels. A U.S. official now confirming that Israel is considering a plan to flood the tunnels, perhaps, where Hamas militants are still believed to be hiding?
Yeah, David, a lot of risks associated with that plan. Flooding those tunnels could knock out water filters that provide clean drinking water to Gaza and could have endanger those remaining hostages. David?
James Longman and our team in Tel Aviv again tonight. Our thanks to you all. Thanks, James. Back here in the U.S. tonight, another major storm slamming the Northwest and now a cross-country system that will then race right across the country and into the Northeast as well. Senior meteorologist Rob Marciano back with us tonight to time all of this out. Hey, Rob.
Hi, David. This comes on the heels of that flooding storm. This one's got some punch, so it will trek across the country. The radar is filled in over the afternoon. From San Jose to Seattle, we saw over a foot of snow just east of us in Tahoe. Another 1 to 2 feet possibly with this thing coming in. It's got a cold core to it, so Cascades will get it. The Wasatch east of Salt Lake City will get the Colorado Rockies as well. And then into the plains it goes on Saturday. Then it's got a severe weather component. Starts to ramp things up southeast Texas, Louisiana. Could see some tornadoes there. Then the heavy rain pushes up and through Ohio, and then eventually into the Northeast on Sunday before moving out on Monday. It will be a big mess for everybody east. David?
Rob Marciano back with us tonight. Thanks as always, Rob. We turn now to Texas tonight and to the issue of abortion. Tonight, the case of a young woman with her husband today. She is 20 weeks pregnant. Her doctors say her own health is in danger because of complications now. Going before the judge after being told in Texas she still cannot have an abortion. Tonight, hear the judge's ruling and how the state is now responding. Here's Rachel Scott.
Tonight, a first-of-its-kind case playing out in Texas. In an extraordinary live-stream court hearing, 31-year-old Kate Cox and her husband Justin begging a judge to let her have an emergency abortion, currently banned under Texas law.
Today, we are seeking a temporary restraining order to allow Ms. Cox to get the abortion that she needs now to end her suffering and protect her fertility.
Cox, a mother of 2, is 20 weeks pregnant, but doctors have told her fetus has a severe abnormality and virtually no chance of survival. What's more, they said continuing the pregnancy could put her health at risk, prevent her from getting pregnant again. Texas now bans abortion outright, with one narrow exception, to prevent major bodily harm or save the life of the mother. Kate told me she was certain that would apply to her.
I could see in this case, surely I would qualify for that exemption. So my doctor told me that I did not have that option in the state of Texas. I was shocked, my husband as well.
So today, Kate and her husband listened as her lawyer described how Kate had been to the emergency room 4 times in just the last month.
Many of Ms. Cox's health risks during this pregnancy will put her life in danger if left untreated.
She argued the law in Texas outlining exceptions is just too vague, calling it cruel and dangerous.
Now a patient must be about to die before a doctor can rely on the exception.
Still today, the state insisting Kate Cox needs to provide more evidence to prove she qualifies.
The plaintiffs have not shown that they will suffer an immediate and irreparable injury.
But Judge Maya Greer Gamble ruling on the spot that Kate Cox could get the abortion she is seeking.
The idea that Ms. Cox wants desperately to be a parent, and this law might actually cause her to lose that ability is shocking and would be a genuine miscarriage of justice.
The judge adding the longer Ms. Cox stays pregnant, the greater risks to her life.
It's unclear if the state will try to fight this ruling, but tonight, the Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is threatening to go after any doctor who might try to perform Cox's abortion, saying they could still face serious penalties, including the loss of their license and up to life in prison. Even her own husband could be at risk on charges of aiding and abetting an abortion, David.
All right, Rachel Scott tonight. Rachel, thank you. We turn now to the race for the White House. Former President Trump back in court in New York, skipping last night's debate. And the 4 candidates who were on stage trailing Trump for the nomination, 40 to 50 points. Despite being so far behind, only one of them appeared willing to take on Trump. Here's Jonathan Carl.
Today, the split-screen Republican presidential primary campaign in full display. In New York, frontrunner Donald Trump was in court, choosing to attend the civil fraud trial against his company. And in Iowa, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis trying to find some momentum after the fourth Republican debate.
Great to be back in Iowa.
Once again, Trump skipped the debate, leaving the candidates who did show up fighting each other in the frontrunner.
The fifth guy, who doesn't have the guts to show up and stand here, he's the one who, as you just put it, is way ahead in the polls. And yet, I've got these three guys who are all seemingly to compete with, Voldemort, he who shall not be named. They don't want to talk about it.
Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie seemed to be the only candidate willing to take Trump on at all. Only one to address Trump's comments earlier this week when he was asked if he would abuse power.
He says, you're not going to be a dictator, are you? No, other than day one.
Do I think he was kidding when he said he was a dictator? All you have to do is look at the history. And that's why failing to speak out against him, making excuses for him, pretending that somehow he's a victim, empowers him.
DeSantis instead spent much of the debate taking on former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, who has been rising in the polls, though both of them trailed Trump by double digits.
Nikki will cave to those big donors when it counts, and that is not acceptable.
He's mad because those Wall Street donors used to support him, and now they support me.
Ron DeSantis was asked again today about Trump's recent remark that he would be a dictator on his first day in office. And once again, he had nothing to say about that or, David, about any of Trump's other recent controversial comments.
Carl. In Washington, John, thank you. When we come back here, the on-duty U.S. Marshal arrested following a Delta flight from New York. What he's accused of tonight. Also the scare for actor Chevy Chase falling off the stage into the audience. And Dancing with the Stars pro Derek Hough tonight and what he's just revealed about his wife in the emergency surgery.
It's 79 breaths to show them your stuff. Every breath matters. Don't let RSV take your breath away. Protect yourself from RSV with Abrysvo, Pfizer's RSV vaccine. Abrysvo is a vaccine for the prevention of lower respiratory disease from RSV in people 60 years and older. RSV can be serious if you are 60 or older. Having asthma, COPD, diabetes, or heart disease put you at even higher risk. Abrysvo is not for everyone and may not protect all who receive the vaccine. Don't Abrysvo if you've had a severe allergic reaction to its ingredients. People with a weakened immune system may have a decreased response to Abrysvo. The most common side effects are tiredness, headache, pain at the injection site, and muscle pain. Ask your pharmacist or doctor about Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo. Visit retail or find other retailers near you at abrysvo.com.
It's easy to think that all money managers are pretty much the same. But at Fisher Investment, different.
Different how? You sell high commission investment products, right?
Nope. Fisher avoids them.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Never at Fisher.
Okay, then you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we structure our fees so we do better when our clients do better. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Frightening free radicals are everywhere. Luckily, Palm Wonderful's antioxidants help defend against them. Real life is scary. Protect yourself from free radicals with Palm.
We come from people we can be proud of. All the I come from, I know. If it's a Serrano, it's a be proud of.
A family with ancestry.
Tonight, an on-duty deputy U.S. Marshal has been charged for allegedly being drunk and disruptive on a Delta flight from New York to London. Authorities say he was arrested after landing at Heathrow Airport. The U.S. Marshal Service says the two deputies were traveling together to pick up a prisoner being extradited back to the U.S. The other deputy was not charged. When we come back here, actor Chevy Chase and the alarming fall on stage, and Derek Hough tonight revealing his wife's emergency surgery.
Dear Wayfair, this year I want to say thanks. Over the centuries, I've become passionate about home decor, and my favorite homes are Wayfair homes.
I even stop by on my day off. I know what people want, and you've got just what they need. Also, I love Ottomans. Your #1 fan, Sent.
Wayfair, you've got just what I need.
Over 13 million Americans were affected by identity theft in 2022, and the threats are more than you realize. If you're a victim of identity theft, LifeLock works to fix it on your behalf, backed by the $1 Million Protection Package. Enroll now.
iPhone 15 Pro, your husband deserves it.
Carolers, to tell me you want a better plan is Verizon.
No way they take this break.
Yes, they will in any condition. Get iPhone 15 Pro and iPad and Apple Watch all on them.
Please forgive him.
It's all good, just a little awkward.
We'll wrap this up.
For a limited time, turn any iPhone in any condition into a new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium and iPad and Apple Watch SE all on us. That's up to $1,700 in value, only on Verizon.
At SimpliSafe, our advanced security sensors and cameras protect your whole home, all powered by 24/7 professional monitoring and Fast Protect technology for faster police response. Now get 50% off a new SimpliSafe system. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
This is how it feels to do more with less asthma, thanks to Dupixent. Dupixent is not for sudden breathing problems. It's an add-on treatment for specific types of moderate to severe asthma and can help improve lung function for better breathing in as little as 2 weeks. Dupixent helps prevent asthma attacks and can even reduce or eliminate oral steroids. Imagine that. Dupixent can cause that can be severe. Get help right away if you have rash, chest pain, worsening of breath, tingling, or numbness in your limbs. Tell your doctor about new or worsening joint aches and pain or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines, including steroids, without talking to your doctor. Who knows what you can do when you do more with less asthma? Ask your doctor about Dupixent, the most prescribed biologic for asthma.
Up next, you outlive your savings.
You don't have to wait until retirement to start enjoying your second act. With protected lifetime income from Pacific Life, imagine your future with confidence. For more than 150 years, we've kept our promise to financially protect and provide, so you can look forward to leading a whole different type of team. Talk to a financial professional about life insurance and retirement solutions with Pacific.
Derek Huff revealing his wife's health scare. He says his wife, Haley, suffered a cranial hematoma following a dance performance in Washington, D.C. last night. She underwent emergency surgery and we're told she is now in stable condition. And the frightening scene after Chevy Chase falling off stage in Buffalo, New York. TMZ obtaining this video showing the 80-year-old Chase greeting the audience during a screening of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. He then falls from the stage and out of sight for a time there, right into the audience. His wife helping him back up. He was a good sport, continued to take questions, and appeared to be okay. Glad to hear that. When we come back tonight, what happened 82 years ago today? Tonight, the heroes who have gone back and their message for all of you at home watching tonight.
You weren't made for moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, but #1 prescribed Entyvio is. It's the most prescribed biologic for Crohn's and UC. In clinical trials, Entyvio helped many people achieve long-term relief and remission. Infusion and serious allergic reactions can happen during or after treatment. Entyvio may increase risk of infection, which can be serious. Although unlikely, a risk of PML, a rare, serious, potentially fatal brain infection, cannot be ruled out. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, experience frequent infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Liver problems can occur. Ask your healthcare provider about Entyvio, the treatment prescribed to more of Crohn's UC than any other biologic.
Entyvio, Entyvio, Entyvio.
I'm Andrea, and this is why I switched to Shopify. It gave me so much peace of mind. If we make a change, my site's not going to go down. And just knowing that I have a platform that we can rely on, that is gold to us. Start your free trial today.
Vicks VapoStick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors. Easy to apply for the whole family. Vicks VapoStick. And try Vicks Vapo Shower for steamy Vicks vapors.
There's challenges, and I love overcoming challenges.
When Better Money
Body Habits content first started coming out, it expanded what I could do. For Special Olympics athletes with developmental needs,
thousands of Bank of America employees like Scott spend countless hours volunteering to teach people how to reach their financial goals.
It felt good. It felt like I could take over the whole world.
What would you like the power to do?
If you have chronic kidney disease, you can reduce the risk of kidney failure with Farxiga, because there are places you'd rather be. Farxiga can cause serious side effects, including ketoacidosis that may be fatal, dehydration, urinary tract or genital yeast infections, and low blood sugar. A rare life-threatening bacterial infection in the skin of the perineum could occur. Stop taking Farxiga and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of this infection, an allergic reaction, or ketoacidosis.
Simply Safe's #1 rated home security, powered by 24/7 monitoring, is half the cost of traditional brands, so you stay safe for less than $1 a day. Now get 50% off a new Simply Safe system. There's no safe.
This holiday season, WeatherTech offers a variety of amazing gifts for everyone. Laser-measured floor liners and cargo liners that fit vehicles perfectly. The cup phones to secure phones in any cup holder. And cup coffee when you're on the go. The pet feeding system to feed pets safely. Or wow them with the gift card and let them choose. Order these American-made products the easy way at WeatherTech.com. And happy holidays.
It's the Paradise finale.
An engagement. That's all you seem to care about.
Who leaves alone, who leaves together, and who leaves married.
I now pronounce you husband and wife.
New Bachelor in Paradise, tonight at a special time on ABC.
Finally tonight here, the survivors from the attack on Pearl Harbor who have gone back. It was 82 years ago today.
The Japanese have attacked the Pearl Harbor, Hawaii from the air.
The surprise attack by Japan on Pearl Harbor. More than 2,400 Americans killed, 1,100 injured. President Franklin Roosevelt.
We will gain the inevitable triumph, so help us God.
Congress issuing a declaration of war after that speech. Tonight, on this anniversary, a nation remembers. In Washington, D.C., at the World War II Memorial, veterans laying wreaths. In New York City, aboard the USS Intrepid, veterans and their families saluting. And in Pearl Harbor, World War II veterans saluting there, too. Among them, 103-year-old U.S. Navy second class Ike Schaub. He was serving on the USS Dobbin in Pearl Harbor that morning.
That was the year we arrived in Pearl, 1940.
Traveling to Pearl Harbor from his home in Beaverton, Oregon, with his children, who would also serve in the military a generation later. And right here tonight,
hi, David.
Ike Schaub with retired Navy Commander Carl Schaub and retired Air Force Technical Sergeant Christine Marie Schaub.
To have two veteran children come to attend this with you today.
I'm just blessed to be here to share it with my father and my brother.
They told us their father inspires them.
The inspiration is that they were strong, and so I need to be strong.
Tonight, Ike and his family determined to make sure we do not forget.
So, Pop, are you coming back next year? Oh, yeah, I'll come back every year that I can.
Tonight, the heroes going back to Pearl Harbor. We salute Ike, his children, and we remember all those who were lost. Ike is right. We have to remember our history. Good night.
From America's #1 news comes the all-new ABC News app. If you love being in the know, you're going to love this. Experience the all-new ABC News app. Download it now.
retail store, it's marked up by the manufacturer and by the retailer. OMF sells factory direct, so your mattress is sold directly to you with no middleman at a better price. Visit the Original Mattress Factory today.
Tonight, Oprah and the power of the color purple.
You look incredible.
I intend to keep it that way.
How she got her slim down look and why the film is a full circle moment for the star.
I'll never forget it.
Then, newlyweds Derek and Haley Huff living a nightmare, the terrifying health crisis that has her hospitalized. Plus, Emma Stone, the subject of a Taylor Swift song.
Is it true?
Inside their friendship as Taylor shows up to Emma's premiere. Then, why Adele avoids her own music, how Joshua Jackson and Lupita Nyong'o just confirmed their romance, and partner swapping? New details as Amy Robach and TJ Holmes' exes find love with each other.
We were directly threatened.
Plus, why Bradley Cooper is working in a food truck.
Come on down, get a cheesesteak.
E.T. starts now.
He's a natural.
There is a reason purple is the color of royalty. Welcome, everyone, to Entertainment Tonight. Kevin Frazier is off tonight, but last night, he and I were at the majestic premiere of The Color Purple. And that's what we talked with the movie's original Sophia, Oprah Winfrey.
By the way, you've been looking divine in purple. What's going on? Because if this is Weight Watchers, please sign me up tonight.
It's not one thing, it's everything.
But you look incredible.
Well, thank you. And I intend to keep it that way.
I hear you.
All right? I was on that treadmill today.
Here's what else we know about Oprah's transformation. Since having knee surgery, she's been hitting the cardio. She's also an investor in the weight loss company.
I get treated differently if I'm 200 plus pounds versus under 200 pounds.
The media mogul who turns 70 next month is also beaming about The Color Purple. She's a producer on the film.
I heard you were there all the time.
I was here all the time, and I was watching the dailies. When you get to be where I am, a woman of a certain age.
Big birthday coming up.
Big birthday coming up. One of the great deep joys for your life is the satisfaction of being able to pass it on to someone else.
I want to take you back to the night of the opening of the musical. You came rushing in. Do you remember you were coming from David Letterman? It was a big night.
And David Letterman was escorting me across the street. I remember that. It was a really big night.
Yep, it's a full circle moment for Oprah. The movie is described as a bold new take on a beloved classic.
Oprah's been teasing me all the time. You got to see it, you got to see it, you got to see it. But this is a part of Black history. You know, Alice Walker, The Color Purple.
You've been with me since Idol.
And now for this to be your first major motion picture, there's a good chance there's a nomination coming your way. What does that mean?
Well, it's deeper for me. I'm grateful for the nomination if I get it. I'm grateful if I win it. Thank you, Lord.
What does this mean to you? Because it felt like you threw your heart and soul into this performance.
It means a lot to me because, you know, I've been doing this for over 2 decades. And at my age, to be able to still have surprises for my fans.
Sierra also stars in The Color Purple out Christmas Day, and she has another project on the way.
Are you ready for baby number 4? You look, I love what you did.
Thank you so much. I think I'm ready. You know, it's like I'm ready, but I'm not ready, but I'm ready.
Oh, the belly was bellying. Didn't she look amazing? And by the way, I don't know if I'm supposed to give my review of this movie yet, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Run, don't walk to the theater to see it. So good. Now, let's get to a Big Apple Swiftie sighting. Our Rachel Smith is in New York with that. Hello, Miss Rachel.
Hey there, Nichelle. I'm at the star-studded premiere for Emma Stone's new film, Birthday, and I just had to ask about the support she got from bestie Taylor Swift. I hear Tom's most influential person might be here tonight.
May she? We will see.
Emma played coy with me, but about 3 hours later, that's a glam Taylor, leaving the screening with a pregnant Suki Waterhouse and her boyfriend, Rob Pattinson. These besties go way back. Tay also showed up for Emma back in 2010 for the premiere of Easy A. Something that's circulating right now is whether or not When Emma Falls in Love is about you. Oh. Is it true? And how flattered would you be if Taylor Swift wrote a song about you?
You would have to ask her.
I mean, I'm just mine.
I am Bella Baxter,
In the Freaky Frankenstein-esque film Poor Things, in theaters tomorrow, Emma is a woman on the brink of death, brought back to life by a daring scientist played by Willem Dafoe. Mark Ruffalo, who made it a red carpet date night, is her love interest.
It was really just figuring out who this person would be if she had no, backstory, no shame, no judgment.
Emma had just had a baby, so perfect timing for her. Been able to,
Mimic her child?
mimic her and love her and kind of like see.
Back in August, Margaret experienced her own major milestone, saying I do, to Taylor's longtime collaborator, Grammy winner, Jack Antonoff.
Does it feel good being married, and how are you enjoying married? I just absolutely love it. Yeah, it's the best.
Also in New York, Bradley Cooper's ex and his new lady show support as he shocks fans.
Afternoon, breadheads. Come on down. Get a cheesesteak.
Payne's cleaning the grill right now.
Yep, that's the A-lister manning the grill inside a Philly cheesesteak truck for charity. Yesterday, Bradley was beaming at ex Irina Shayk, who popped by just as current girlfriend Gigi Hadid also paid him a visit. We're told Gigi and Bradley are spending a significant amount of time together and have introduced each other to their immediate close-knit circles. That would include the supermodel's mom, Yolanda, who adores Bradley, but keeps her daughter's love life private.
What was your reaction to her dating one of the biggest movie stars in all of Hollywood?
No. I'm going to stay out of that. Sorry.
More couples news. Derek Huff's wife, Haley, was just hospitalized.
That was very scary.
Last night, just as the Dancing with the Stars pair finished performing at their D.C. area tour stop, Derek says she became, quote, disoriented. A blood vessel in her head burst, and the 29-year-old required emergency surgery to remove a portion of her skull.
I blacked out.
February, newlyweds told E.T. about Haley's head injury from a car accident nearly a year day of yesterday's scare. Derek posted, she is in stable condition, and asked for prayers and positivity during this time.
To see your significant other just being, bloodied and discombobulated, it was hard to see that.
With T.J. Holmes and Amy Robach, are they supporting their exes who are now dating each other?
We were in a pretty dark spot.
Less than 24 hours after dropping their podcast and news broke about the spouse swap, the pair went sort of cryptic on IG. Posting this loved-up pic with a Bible verse, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. Unclear who the fire gang targeting, but we're told they're exes. Andrew Shue and Marley Fiebig's relationship has surprised most of those involved. E.T. confirmed the Melrose Place star and TJ's ex have been dating for about 6 months. We're told the two continue to stay under the radar and enjoy each other's company after bonding over trauma from their respective breakups.
Look, a lot of damage was done. That's tough enough to go through a divorce.
And this couple, Joshua Jackson and Lupita Nyong'o, just confirmed their relationship as they move on from their exes. Holding hands while on a stroll in Joshua Tree, the pair wasn't shying away from PDA 64 days after Joshua's wife, Jodie Turner-Smith, filed for divorce, and Lupita ended things with TV host Salema Masekela in her show, It's Okay to Cry. We're told things are still a fun and flirtatious vibe with each other. But how does Joshua's ex feel? Our source says Jodie isn't giving it too much attention. She's being the best mom she can be. Speaking of star moms, our Danny Directo was surrounded by them today in Hollywood.
Yes, Rachel, it was a morning all about female empowerment as the Hollywood Reporter honored Elle and Kerry Washington at their annual Women in Entertainment Gala. What does it mean to be honored today with equity in entertainment?
I feel encouraged by the award. It feels like it's an inspiration to continue to do the work and to try to earn this award that I'm getting today.
The mama of three looked stunning in a purple and white gown with floral appliques. And ever since her memoir was released in September, Kerry says she feels free.
I feel like I have nothing to hide and everything to gain.
Now, I know you recently opened up about how you pulled off your secret wedding. So is it fair to say you Olivia Poped your own nuptials?
That is fair to say. Right? I did kind of Olivia Pope my own nuptials. Yes, thank God.
Also on the powerhouse carpet, Helen Mirren, Camila Cabello, and Dua Lipa, who just scored 2 Grammy noms for her Barbie hit. Who didn't be recognized by the Academy of Motion Pictures for your song?
All I can do is cross my fingers and see what happens.
Inside, Helen Adele with this year's Sherry Lansing Leadership Awards. What makes her so deserving of this honor?
It's Adele. That's why she's deserving of this honor.
The 35-year-old's boyfriend, Rich Paul, was by her side at the table, and she had everyone in stitches during her speech.
It's an absolute honor to be here today in full glam at 8 a.m. on a Thursday morning.
In the mag, Adele confesses she got emotional reading Rich's revealing memoir, which detailed some pretty deep traumas of his early life. But nothing was a surprise to her. Quote, Rich and I have always known everything about each other since the day we got together. The cover girl also says that while she doesn't listen to her own music, Rich does, and it drives her insane.
Listen, disclaimer, I'm not really a motivational words kind of gal. I'm also not really a speeches kind of gal. I've never prepared one of these in my... As quite a few people in the room know, I have the gift of the gab. But when I talk for hours, it's about nothing.
Still ahead,
Do you really want to hear the truth or you want to hear Hollywood answer?
Halle reveals a rocky relationship with Angelina Jolie on set and the way they finally bonded. Then, only ET's behind the scenes of the film that sparked romance rumors between Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney.
Sometimes harder to life.
And tomorrow, be sure to tune in to CBS for a new network special, Norman Lear, A Life on Television, produced by us, Entertainment Tonight, with never-before-seen interviews and new sit-downs with the actors he made stars.
I don't know what it means to be a legend. I know what it means to be a father. I know what it means to be an American.
Hi, my name is Damian Clark. If you have both Medicare and Medicaid, I have some really encouraging news that you'll definitely want to hear. Depending on the plans available in your area, you may be eligible to get extra benefits with the Humana Medicare Advantage Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan. All these plans include a Healthy Options Allowance, a monthly allowance to help pay for eligible groceries, utilities, rent, and over-the-counter items. The Healthy Options Allowance is loaded onto a prepaid card each month, and whatever you don't spend carries over from each month. Other benefits on these plans include free rides to and from your medical appointments, and our large networks of doctors, hospitals, and pharmacies. So call the number and ask about a Humana Medicare Advantage Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan. Humana, a more human way to healthcare.
This is where it all happens. Your moments, your stories, your neighborhoods. You've got us live, connecting you to all of North Georgia.
Bringing information to you first, no matter where stories unfold.
Channel 2 Action News, live at 4, 5, and 6.
Hey, big guy. Got a little holiday something for you. Tonight.
Okay.
I've already got what you want.
I thought you might like this. Happy holidays.
It's the gift everyone wants to get. Give the holiday scratchers from the Georgia Lottery.
E.T.
Only on ET.
Love E.T.
Just all the feels.
You ask all the good questions.
So good.
TT's been there for us forever and ever and ever.
It's time to light up the season during the Make the Holidays Bright sales event. Get our best offers and choose from a huge selection of Ford F-150 trucks with the capability, convenience, and technology to help bring us together. Discover how Ford F-150 can make the holidays bright.
Now get 2.9% financing for 72 months for 90 days on a 2023 Ford F-150 truck. Only at your local Ford dealer.
Year-end deadline to before closing forever. English Chesterfield's top-rated leather and power worth $13,000, now less than $4,000. Natural linen less than $3,000. Year-end deadline 67% below market. The Rocky Mountain Leather Company. Barker Loungers leather and power year-end deadline 60% below cost. Heirloom closes out every handmade bag 80% off plus your box spring free. Fine Tibetan rugs hand knotted for $10,000 $9.99. Year-end deadline to the dump, to the dump, to the dump, dump, dump.
The stories that matter in College Park are on Channel 2 Action News.
I
get to now decide who I work with.
We'll add Angelina Jolie to that list. Halle Berry talking producer life at the Red Sea Film Festival. She and Angelina will co-star and co-produce the upcoming action thriller Maude vs. Maude. Halle confessed to Variety that she and Angie, quote, had a rocky start.
Who's your daddy now?
While Halle wouldn't reveal why, she did hint at what finally brought them together. Quote, we've been talking a lot about divorces and exes. We bonded, let's say that. Needless to say, fans are hyped. Halle took to X and wrote, someone just tweeted a mother off, and I'm laughing so hard right now. Me too. Now, let's get to another movie that generated buzz from the jump. Only E.T. can take you to the Australia set of Anyone But You.
Oh my God, wait, you see your eyes.
Sydney is very easy to pretend fall in love with. The ideas of love are swirling through your head while these big romantic moments are happening, so sometimes harder to differentiate between real life and fake life.
Maybe we should just tell everyone we're together.
What?
Glenn and I. Like, we truly had an amazing experience together. And I really hope that that comes off and everybody can feel that love and friendship that was made on this film.
Oh yeah, fans felt that love so much. While Glenn and Sydney were shooting this rom-com, there were rumors the two were a thing in real life as well. Both insist they're just friends. The benefit of Anyone But You in theaters December 22nd?
I didn't realize how naked I would be in this movie. Okay, I shouldn't, I should stay away from the beer for a bit. So I definitely have some weights and resistance bands in my trailer that the whole that I break out on certain days.
Glenn and Sydney play former flings who pretend to be a couple while attending a wedding. And if there's anyone who knows about big screen I-dos...
Speaking from experience about how rom-coms work, I know from the film I did 20 plus years ago how important these movies are.
Dermot Mulroney is Sydney's dad, and check out this mini My Best Friend's Wedding reunion 26 years later. Rachel Griffith stars as his wife.
And I just laughed because, of course, really the only other romantic comedy I've done is My Best Friend's Wedding. And Dermot was paramour of Julia Roberts. And I thought, okay, it's meant to be.
After we watched My Best Friend's Wedding as a cast, Dermot looked at me and he said, really take this job seriously. The beauty of being in a rom-com is you represent love to people.
Yeah, Dermot Mulroney is forever bae. Well, here is a man that ladies love, LL Cool J, joining the NCIS Hawaii Ohana.
We're back.
So am I.
E.T.'s behind the scenes as the cast gets back to work, Hawaiian style. Plus, our Kelsey Grammer exclusive, talking more from Frasier.
I'd love to see a couple people from Cheers come back. That'd be kind of a neat thing to see.
Closed captioning provided by...
Diabetes can serve up a lot of questions. Like, what is your glucose? And can you have more carbs? Before you decide, with the Freestyle Libre 2 system, know your glucose level and where it's headed, no finger sticks needed. Manage your diabetes with more confidence and lower your A1C. The #1 doctor-prescribed CGM, Freestyle Libre 2. Try it for free at freestylelibre.us.
Go finding.
Wake up.
And you? What would you do for love? Miss Dior, Eau de Parfum, Dior.
At Macy's, the fragrance destination.
I'm Channel 2's George Estevez. On WSB Tonight, U.S. Soccer selected Metro Atlanta as the home for their national training center. We're breaking down the economic impact and how this facility could grow soccer across Georgia at 11 WSB Tonight.
Toyotathon is on. Make your holidays a little more magical with a new Toyota. Come in today.
Lease a new 2024 Toyota Corolla LE for just $249 a month for 24 months, plus $500 holiday bonus cash.
Let's go places. People ask me, Dale, what's your 7-point process for recommending companies? Well, it's a very specific list of standards I built from 30 years of investigative reporting. I protect you by making certain every company I certify continually meets those 7 standards. Never risk your spend with Trust Dale.
Toyotathon is on. Make your holidays a little more magical with a new Toyota. Come in today.
Lease a new 2024 Toyota RAV4 LE for just $339 a month for 24 months plus $500 holiday bonus cash. Toyota, let's go places.
We're back.
So am I. You know what I mean? You're welcome.
Yes, NCIS Hawaii is officially in their LL Cool J era. The cast and crew started production on season 3 with a traditional Hawaiian blessing and, of course, jokes.
A very special Ohana welcome to Todd. He works out.
He works out. Let's get to Kelsey Grammer's TV return because he's wrapping up season 1 of Frasier Crane's new chapter on Paramount Plus, and he stopped by to talk all about it to our resident Frasier.
But I don't know what to do with those tossed salads and scrambled.
The original ended almost 20 years ago. Why was now the time?
Roseanne Barr's show was returned to television. I was like, oh, well, that makes it kind of interesting. And there was an appetite for that kind of show again. I wanted to involve the whole legacy cast, but once the ship had sailed on that, we dived right into this idea of going back to Boston and centering the relationship around his relationship with his son.
I don't need to be tended to like a child.
You mentioned that legacy cast, and we think of John Mahoney right off the bat.
We did a couple of sort of hidden little gifts around the set for people. The baby's name is John.
Yep.
The bar's name is Mahoney. It was established in 1940 when John was born.
Frasier fans were surprised with Perry Mason turn as Roz, and while the show hasn't been renewed for season 2 yet, we couldn't help but wonder,
is there a chance that anyone else could come back?
Well, I suppose it's probably a chance. We do have Daphne and his son on the show, so it would make sense that they might come by. I'd love to see a couple people from Cheers come back.
Whatever happened to the good old days?
Joe, we talk about some of your other roles out there that you recently revisited Beast in the MCU.
Yes, Beast is a passion for me. I've always wanted to be a blue person, and now I am. And excessively hairy, although I am actually excessively hairy. And I try to do a lot of trimming.
Will we see Beast again?
I hope to. I certainly hope to. There's been some discussion. I've always wanted to play him again. 20 years ago when that career, this is it, I've made it. I'm finally in a franchise movie. And they said that they were going to go back in time and Beast was going to be younger. It's a great feather in my cap now to have him come back and have people still be interested in seeing who is arguably the greatest Beast ever.
Coming up, on set with Mark Wahlberg.
I just thought it was really fun.
A first look at his new action comedy family film.
Before I met your mom, I was a covert assassin. I escaped that life, and now they found us.
Don't miss these epic travel deals in tonight's 60 Seconds of Steals with MorningSave.com and their ambassador, Amy Paffrath. Hallie, this is one of the busiest travel times of the year, so you know I am setting you up right. Kicking it off with 7 color options of these Olympia 3-piece hard-side luggage sets. Olympia is a brand we trust for their durability and dependability, and we have this set for more than 80% off. That sounds like a great deal, so how much? I love a pop of color at baggage claim, too. We have seen this set as high as $920, but today's deal is just $149.99. This deal is going to go fast, and speaking of great deals on brand name items, you'll want to bring these Beats wireless high-performance earbuds wherever you go. Beats are known for their quality sound, and this model is lightweight, adjustable, and water-resistant. Plus, these would make a great stocking stuffer. How much? You're scoring a 44% savings today. We've seen this set for $250, but today they're just $139.99. Amy, thank you so much. These deals are available while supplies last at morningsave.com.
happens after a serious car crash when the insurance company won't play fair. At Montlake Injury Attorneys, we know injury law, and we know what it takes to win. After all, we've been winning in our field for 40 years. If you've been injured, we're here to help. Simply dial #WIN from your cell phone for your free consultation. That's #946.
I'm about to show you how we make a Shaq-a-Roni pizza.
Bust it.
Stretch out that fresh. We created Shaq-a-Roni my way. More is better. An extra large pizza topped with extra cheese and extra pepperoni. Pizza gets bigger when you Shaq-a-Roni.
Travel consideration provided by...
I have moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Thanks to Skyrizi, I'm on my way with clearer skin. 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Serious allergic reaction, increased risk of infections, or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, had a vaccine, or plan to.
Nothing on my skin means everything. Ask your dermatologist about Skyrizi.
By the way, we'll have more here on Fox.
Guys, listen up. Want to try the strongest FDA-approved ED meds available? If appropriate, get maximum strength generic Viagra prescribed online at 95% off. Just $2 per tablet at RexMD.com.
That's $78.29.
I only got $50. Take out the cheese puffs and the broccoli. I mean, who likes broccoli?
I don't. Only $22.87 to go.
It would be faster with the Empower app. Empower Cash Advance gives you up to $250 instantly. No late fees, interest, or credit checks.
I've got money. Keep the cheese puffs, but leave out the broccoli.
Get Empower Cash Advance up to $250 instantly. Download the Empower app today.
Alfred, have we secured the premises?
Hold on. Now we have. Thank you, Mike Hill.
Case closed.
Just a couple of minutes. Go ahead, Carlos. There's our suspect to the bottom right. Officer, he pulls a gun. The officer runs away, goes around the side of the car. And the UNLV officer then ends the suspect's actions. Officers then assembled action teams and began a systematic search for additional suspects and victims. Those teams went through multiple buildings and multiple floors. Many times we had to force entry into rooms where students and faculty were sheltering in place. Officers had to escort each one of those rooms of faculty and students to safety. During the search of Beam Hall, 2 victims were located on the 3rd floor. 1 victim was located on the 4th floor, and we believe the 4th victim who survived was on the 5th floor when shot. He got out of the building and was taken to Sunrise Hospital. And I just want to stress to you, we don't yet know the sequence of the shootings. We don't know where specifically, what floor it started at, or which victim was the first victim. We are still piecing together that information. There are no cameras on the interior of the building, so it's taking us more time to understand that. What I found out right before I walked in here is that the victim that was shot on the 5th floor that had walked outside, he was met by 2 Metro police officers, thrown into a police car, driven to an arriving community ambulance, which then immediately took that individual to Sunrise, which probably saved his life. The suspect's vehicle was recovered at UNLV, and after executing a search warrant, we located a dash cam in the vehicle, which allowed us to have a better understanding of the suspect's movements earlier in the morning. Our detectives learned prior to the shooting, the suspect had earlier visited a Henderson post office and sent 22 letters to various university personnel across the country with no return address. We are currently working with the postal inspector and our federal partners to begin processing these letters. We do not know the contents of these letters, and we're working to contact the recipients of those letters. As most of you know, last night, LVMPD detectives executed a search warrant at the suspect's Henderson residence, and some items were recovered there. Importantly, there was a chair with an arrow pointing down to a document, which that document was similar to a last will and testament. There were several computers and hard drive components. There was ammunition consistent with the same cartridge cases located at the scene, and there was a Taurus handgun box matching the handgun that he used. I want to stress that we're still learning a lot about this suspect and still trying to understand motive. We know he applied numerous times for a job with several Nevada higher education institutions and was denied each time. The suspect had a list of people he was seeking on a university campus, as well as faculty from the Eastern Carolina University. We have contacted almost everyone on those lists to make sure that they are all right. We have done that for all of UNLV and all of Eastern Carolina, with the exception of one individual who was on an international flight. We are looking into the suspect's former employees, including Eastern Carolina University, and working closely with local police in those jurisdictions, as well as the FBI. We also know the suspect was struggling financially, as evidenced by when we served a search warrant on his apartment, there was a notice of eviction taped to the front door. We believe the suspect acted alone, and we have zero indication of any other suspects at this time. Our investigators are still out at UNLV. I also have to say that when first responders, you guys can understand how chaotic this scene was. When our first responders arrived, people were running, people were hunkering down. Many people had already fled the scene, and their recollections are going to be critical to our investigators as we move forward to have a better understanding of what exactly occurred. So anyone that has information or video of what occurred inside Beam Hall at the time of the shooting or witnessed the officer-involved shooting is encouraged to reach out to the LVMPD Homicide Section at 702-828-3521 or Crime Stoppers at 702-385-5555. One additional nugget is right before we walked into this briefing, I learned that in the screening of those envelopes that we were able to intercept after going through 14,000 pieces of mail and identifying the 22 that were sent, the first letter that we opened had an unknown white powder substance in it. Our armor unit and detectives are out currently processing those envelopes. And what we're asking is that if anybody in the education world receives a letter with a no return address that is taped, we ask you to proceed with caution and contact your local authorities. Of particular attention from the ones that have been addressed are those at Carolina and UNLV. And so with that, I'm going to pause and turn it over to the UNLV Vice President of Public Safety Services and Director of UNLV Police Services, Chief Adam Garcia. Chief.
Okay, so you were just listening there to Las Vegas Police Chief Kevin McMahill. Also there is the UNLV Police Chief Adam Garcia with more updates on this shooting. So in the meantime, we do want to step away from this story. We're just a little bit after the top of the 6 o'clock hour here, but we devoted a large chunk to provide you updates on that mass shooting that happened on the campus of UNLV just yesterday. We're learning now who two of the three victims were. We're also learning more details about the suspect, 67-year-old Anthony Polito. We also, if you were watching just in the last 15 minutes, spoke on the phone with one of his former students about 10 years ago there at Eastern Carolina University in North Carolina. So kind of a comprehensive picture of where this story stands right now. Well, let's take a quick commercial break. We still have so many more top stories left on this Thursday night. We'll see you in 2 minutes. And welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andrew Kraft. We have some breaking news at this hour to get to regarding President Biden's son, Hunter. Well, this is what we know. We are learning right now that another indictment is coming. They are now in California. The charges remain unclear. So let's get into some of this reporting from our team at the Department of Justice. Fox News learning an indictment is close to being dropped on Hunter Biden in the Central District of California. The exact nature of the charges are unclear, but according to Jake Gibson and David Spunt at the DOJ, they expect the indictment to be unsealed in the next hour or two. The DOJ has no comment on this. A spokesperson for Special Counsel David Weiss has no comment on this. I want to put up this tweet here from Fox News producer Sean Langiel. He says, Fox News has learned an indictment is close to being dropped on Hunter Biden in the Central District of California. Exact nature of charges remain unclear, but the indictment could be unsealed within the next hour. So this is quite significant. Remember, just mere months ago, there was an appointment of David Weiss, who was the U.S. Attorney in Delaware, Merrick Garland, appointing him special counsel looking into the Hunter Biden matters. Now, remember, David Weiss has already indicted Hunter Biden in Delaware on those charges of lying on a federal gun form. Remember, he was a known drug user. He lied about it on this federal form he used to purchase a weapon. So that indictment has already been filed at the U.S. District Court in Delaware. And so possibly these charges, I don't want to speculate on what they could be, but maybe tax related. That's kind of what we're hearing right now, because you'll remember mere months ago, this plea deal that was struck between the DOJ, the Hunter Biden legal team, and others blew up in that courtroom there in Delaware. And so everything kind of started back from square one. And then David Weiss, who was kind of dealing with the plea bargain itself, after the charges were dismissed, he then was appointed special counsel, special prosecutor, looking into all the Hunter Biden mess, and then subsequently brought that charge in the U.S. District of Delaware about the gun form, Hunter lying on that gun form. And so now we're learning tonight, mere minutes ago, that Hunter Biden will be indicted in the Central District of California, though the charges right now are unclear. So this is breaking right now. We're waiting to get more and more reactions, especially from House Republicans. Remember, they're on two of these committees in the House Judiciary Committee, but also the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, led by Chairman James Comer, the Republican from Kentucky, who has subpoenaed Hunter Biden in their own probe going on Capitol Hill. So you'll remember that date for that closed-door deposition for Hunter Biden to appear in front of the committee. Well, that's next week. That's December 13th. Now, remember, just last week, Hunter Biden dared the committee to have him do that deposition publicly in an open setting, to which members of the committee, including Chairman Comer, said Hunter Biden wants it both ways. That was his wording there. And so we just have to wait and see. This is happening on Capitol Hill, but now this is happening both in the U.S. District of Delaware, to which Hunter Biden has already pleaded not guilty, to now this indictment coming down in the Central District of California, of which we don't know what just yet are the nature of the charges. Our team at the DOJ reached out to the DOJ. They have no comment. They also reached out to a spokesperson for Special Counsel David Weiss, who also has no comment. So I just want to repeat, the nature of the charges right now are unclear, but our team expects the indictment will be dropped in the next hour or two. And once the indictment is dropped, we can print it out, we can pour through, we can read it, we can present it to you about what Hunter Biden is going to be charged with now in California. So this is breaking as we speak on this Thursday night. We've been in touch with some of our legal analysts and experts to see if they can come on once the indictment is made public, once it is unsealed, and help us kind of sift through it, what's important, what's not important, and go over what these charges are, of which we do not know just yet. So more trouble for President Biden's son, Hunter, there. We wanted to get this on the record here. And it's a story we got to stay on top of throughout the night and into tomorrow, and we will do just that. We'll see you in 2 minutes. Welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. Live Now look there in southern Israel, looking into Gaza. Of course, the Israel-Hamas war continues even on this first night of Hanukkah. So many Jews around the world celebrating this very important holiday. And unfortunately, on the first night of Hanukkah, there was this really scary incident that happened outside of a synagogue in Albany, New York. I want to put up this tweet here. This is from the press secretary for New York Governor Kathy Hochul. Kathy Hochul putting out a statement about this, about shots were fired outside Temple Israel in Albany. There have been no injuries reported, and a 28-year-old male suspect is in custody. The governor is deploying all necessary resources to keep New Yorkers safe. Well, Governor Hochul had a very brief kind of press conference update on this incident there happening in Albany right before she went to a menorah lighting there in New York. So it's a really unfortunate set of circumstances, and this is indicative of the wider threat so many Jewish Americans are facing, especially going into this very important holiday of Hanukkah for them. And so Governor Hochul updated us on this incident there. Let's watch.
Good afternoon. Today I'm joined by our Director of State Operations, Catherine Garcia, and our Deputy Secretary for Public Safety, Marco Soler. At approximately 2:27 today, there was an incident at the Temple Israel in Albany, within the city of Albany's confines. Shots were fired outside the temple in the parking area. There were no injuries or fatalities. The suspect is a 28-year-old local resident who was walking around outside the synagogue acting very suspicious. According to witnesses, he fired off a round from a shotgun while making threatening statements. After the shots were fired, the police were called, and on the premises was an early childhood center with at least 24 children, preschoolers, who were on the premises. The parents were contacted. The facility went immediately into lockdown, and as of this time, the parents have been able to retrieve their children, and the lockdown has been lifted. All the children have been released safely. Federal law enforcement is currently leading the investigation with the support of New York State Police, who were on site at the time, immediately following the incident, as well as the Albany Police as well. New York State Hate Crimes Department agency is involved. I immediately called the rabbi. I knew this rabbi because literally on October 7th, after the horrific attack on Israel, I went to this synagogue and I spoke. So I spoke with Dr. Rabbi Anderson tonight and assured her that the state of New York will do everything possible to restore the sense of security that her congregation needs at this time. I will also be planning to attend at this time Shabbat services at this temple Friday evening. As we've talked about before, after the October 7th attacks, I've directed our state police as well as the National Guard to be on high alert. They have been conducting surveillance and created a presence at synagogues, yeshivas, museums, cultural centers, all vulnerable targets throughout the state of New York ever since October 7th. And especially during the holiday season, as we begin Hanukkah tonight, I directed earlier this week that they continue to actually increase their presence at all these locations. This builds on the significant efforts they've already undertaken, making sure that we've mobilized state police, invested tens of millions of dollars in additional security devices and measures, developed online strategies to suppress hate at the source, also $50 million to help local law enforcement so they can do their job to protect our communities who are under siege at this time. We also made sure that the threat assessment teams are activated on every college and creating 36 county-based teams operating across New York. In addition, I had previously asked former Chief Judge of the Court of Appeals, Jonathan Lippman, to begin an investigation into anti-Semitism and hate crimes across SUNY and CUNY campuses. The bottom line is this: the safety of Jewish New Yorkers is non-negotiable. Every act, whether it's verbal or physical, any act of anti-Semitism is unacceptable and undermining the public safety at our synagogue the first night of Hanukkah is even more deplorable. The prospect of violence in a place of worship is not just an attack on the building. It's an attack on the very fabric of our society, our freedom to express our faith, our collective shared sense of safety. And I remind everyone, as New Yorkers, this is not who we are. This must stop. We reject hate, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia. All hate crimes must stop, and all violence in every form must cease. We have no tolerance for these acts of evil that have now permeated our society. And the rise in anti-Semitism that started centuries ago is dramatically on the rise in our own state since October 7th. It has increased and fueled the anxiety of Jewish New Yorkers throughout every corner of the state. Thankfully, at this time, no one was injured in this incident. But the fear that it has wreaked, and the fear and the anxiety that it has caused, I know a lot of people are feeling really shaken right now. This wasn't the first incident at Temple Israel. In September, it was one of multiple synagogues targeted with bomb threats. And now to know there's an individual who literally brought a gun, a loaded weapon, to their premises, shakes people to their core. They shouldn't have to be so frightened. At a time, this beautiful holiday about to commence, people should be relishing in the light of the world. That's what the tradition's all about, the lighting of the candles. This state must not descend into darkness. We need this light to shine bright, and have all New Yorkers stand up for each other, to defend each other's dignity, respect each other's differences, because that is what New York is to its very core and always will be, but we must protect it. We will stand together against violence, bigotry, and hatred, reaffirming our commitment to unity and understanding and protection. So here's my commitment to Jewish New Yorkers. We will not be intimidated into silence. We will not be threatened into submission. And we will celebrate every aspect of the great Jewish traditions, starting here with Hanukkah, because these must be kept alive, as they have been through centuries of persecution before. We'll tolerate no hate in the state of New York, and I will use every single resource as governor of the state of New York at my disposal to make sure that everyone in the state of New York is safe. At this point, I'm going to ask Eva Weimer, the Deputy Director of Jewish Affairs, to join me in lighting the menorah this first night of Hanukkah. Eva traveled with me to Israel in the aftermath of October 7th. I want to thank her for her courage and for her willingness to stand up as a proud Jewish woman here in the state of New York. Thank you for your service to millions of New Yorkers, Eva, and I'll let you have the honors.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chadlik ner shel Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nitzim l'avoteinu bayamim hachem b'zman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'chechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu l'zman hazeh.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor.
As I mentioned, this is an ongoing federal investigation. We've been supporting and helping our partners. So there are questions I may not be able to answer, but at this point I'll attempt to say what I'm allowed to.
Governor, can you elaborate more on the threatening statements that this individual is making? What was he saying?
I will let federal law enforcement talk about that at the appropriate time. Right now, this is under investigation.
And how quickly did Albany police get to the scene? How quickly was he apprehended?
Very quickly. I believe it was the director of the Early Childhood Center who first heard the shots, and she immediately called 911. Albany police were there very quickly, as again, this has been a site of bomb threats before. I have been there personally, and they knew that there was a need to respond very quickly. State police immediately followed, bringing in our hate crime task force to help with the investigation. And FBI arrived a short time afterward. But the individual is now in custody. A 28-year-old is now in custody. And we'll wait to see what happens when he appears in court.
And do we know anything else about this individual's history? Have they made any threatening, do they have a history, again, of violence or a rap sheet?
This individual does have a rap sheet. He's a local resident, but I'm not at liberty to disclose the contents of this at that time.
Okay, is there any more concern, any active threats again against Temple Israel at this time?
No threats at this time, but again, we have heightened security throughout the state of New York at all these sites, especially as we enter, starting tonight, for the next week, as families gather not just in their homes, but in very public ways. I'll be heading over to the largest menorah lighting in the world in a few moments, and proudly stand with Jewish Americans, Jewish New Yorkers, at a time when there's a tremendous level of stress. But we must continue these traditions. We cannot be deterred, we cannot be threatened, we cannot be intimidated into continuing these joyous occasions with our families and individuals who right now deserve a lot of love and care because of what they're going through. And that's what I'm calling on all New Yorkers to do. Try to be more understanding and compassionate.
Great. Anything from Channel 7 in the back? No? All right.
Okay.
Governor, NASA Democrat.
All right, Governor Kathy Hochul there of New York State talking about this incident where now a 28-year-old suspect's in custody after shots were fired outside of a synagogue there in Albany. Of course, it remains to be seen on whether or not there is some type of anti-Semitic nexus to this specific incident, and we'll have to wait and see where the investigation goes. But that somewhat kind of segues into our next segment here about on this first night of Hanukkah, how so many Jews around the world, especially Jewish Americans, are feeling in the wake of the Israel-Hamas war, in the wake of a rise in anti-Semitic incidents that we have seen nationwide. Let's get a summary on that right now. Fox News correspondent Molly Line has this report.
With anti-Semitism reaching a fever pitch on college campuses across America, presidents from some of the country's top universities are facing major backlash after dodging questions during a congressional hearing on the topic.
So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context.
The presidents of Harvard, MIT, and UPenn all failing to flatly say calls for the genocide of Jews on their campuses are against the rules. Now some are attempting to clarify their answers. UPenn President Elizabeth McGill backtracking.
The call for genocide of Jewish people is a call for some of the most terrible violence human beings can perpetrate.
Meanwhile, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro says the UPenn board now has a very serious decision to make regarding McGill.
It should not be hard to condemn genocide.
And Harvard President Claudine Gay also releasing a statement saying, "Let me be clear, calls for violence or genocide against the Jewish community or any religious or ethnic group are vile. They have no place at Harvard, and those who threaten our Jewish students will be held to account." But some say these statements after the fact are too little, too late.
We expected to see moral clarity, but we got moral depravity from all of these presidents.
The White House also condemning the testimonies this week. A spokesperson writing, "It's unbelievable that this needs to be said. Calls for genocide are monstrous and antithetical to everything we represent as a country." In Cambridge, Massachusetts, Molly Line, Fox News.
Molly, thanks so much. We want to bring into the conversation now to talk about this even further our friend at the Anti-Defamation League, Jonathan Greenblatt. He joins me. Jonathan, thanks so much for being with us here. And I can't help but start off, because I would be remiss if I didn't say, we're talking about anti-Semitism on college campuses on the first night of Hanukkah. When you were watching that hearing in the House on Monday, and you were listening in to the presidents of Harvard, UPenn, also MIT, say that, anti-Semitic incidents may be context dependent. What did you think when they said that?
First word that came to mind was pathetic. The second word that came to mind was preposterous. I mean, let's be clear. Calls to genocide are never context dependent. They are unambiguously, indisputably repulsive and wrong. And if you think they don't violate the code of conduct of your university, you either haven't read the document or you need to write a brand new code of conduct.
Okay.
Because the idea that a segment of your student body should be subjected to annihilation and that's somehow okay, not in the world that I live in. And to be honest, the thing about it is, I have this feeling that if a college president was asked, is it okay to call out the annihilation of any other minority group on campus? The answer would be, of course not. But somehow with Jews, it's political. Somehow with Jews, it's, context dependent. And that kind of moral ambiguity is exactly what we don't need.
Okay. So, Jonathan, what is the impulse to equivocate here? I mean, where is the pressure coming from that these presidents feel like they can't, full-throatedly say, yes, this violates our university's code of conduct here? It seems like the recriminations, though, are happening in real time. I want to cite this report that was broken in Axios today. Fox has now later confirmed that a huge donor to UPenn, his name Ross Stevens, he's founder and CEO of Stone Ridge Asset Management. Well, he is rescinding a $100 million donation to UPenn over Liz McGill, the president there's comments at this House hearing earlier this week. Stevens wrote a letter from his lawyers to Penn alleging the school has violated the terms of the limited partnership agreement, including its anti-discrimination and anti-harassment policies. Now, this donation hadn't been made yet, but it was set to be made. It's now off the table. So we're seeing some of these recriminations happen in real time. Is that right?
It is definitely happening in real time. Let's keep in mind that Ross's announcement today comes on the heels of similar announcements from Apollo Management CEO Mark Rowan, from former ambassador to China John Huntsman, and numerous other donors who saw that performance by President McGill on Tuesday, and I think they felt it was as disheartening as it was disastrous. And so when a $100 million donor walks away, it confirms that there is a lack of confidence in leadership at Penn. And I think things have to change in order to, quell this really queasy feeling that the school simply does not have the ability.
Threat stretching from Houston to Memphis. Then that same system will then shift east, impacting folks along the I-95 corridor. That will close out the weekend. Rain, wind, and snow could impact your travel plans and knock out power to millions. Fox Weather, we're your Winter Storm HQ. Welcome inside the Fox Weather studio. Thank you for being with us on your Thursday evening. I'm Steve Bender, and we look out on the East Coast. Time right now, 8:30. West Coast, 5:30. And let's keep our focus in the West Coast and talk about the Pacific Northwest, where we've had that devastating flooding. And you'll see those visuals there from Savannah, Washington, where when you have the drone up in the air, you can see how widespread this is and why neighborhoods were cut off. And the only way to get to them was by boat, and why still today, as we are talking, many can't even get home, right? And the concern is that there's more rain that's coming into this region. And so we'll stop it here, and you'll see that this is widespread. This isn't a spot, one singular home that was cut off. This was the entire city of Savannah that took the brunt of this. And when I'm looking at this from a drone standpoint, I'm trying to find the body of water, right? Where can the water go back into? And when you look at this, this looks like the body of water over here that's snaking through. And then you have this massive lake that has nowhere to drain. And so the concerns continue because you have more rain that's coming in, and it still hasn't had time to remove what we've already seen out of all of this. And so thing to talk about is this type of event right here, where you want to avoid the roads that are flooded. This has come to us from the sheriff department there, where this truck went around the barrier and the police had to come out and get them and help them. And then they were issued a fine of over $400 for going around that barricade. Now, they're just telling everybody, please, for these incoming waves, avoid those roads. There's a reason why they posted those barricades and why it's closed. And you look, the numbers tell you everything. Over 16 inches of rain at Mount St. Helens, right? Now, you may be saying, okay, it's a mountain. What about where people live? Well, the rest of the list are those cities, right? And you still are over a foot of rain, and why the impacts still remain, even though this event has fallen apart, and you got about a 24-hour window until the next event. And in that 24 hours, they're going to be doing what you see below, and that's cleaning up all the debris. That's a river there where you have a log jam, a long ways to go. Where all of that energy has moved into now over the Great Basin, northern Nevada, outside of Battle Mountain, Elko, into the Ruby Mountains, and this will continue. And the next wave actually comes in, and that's going to be on Saturday into Sunday, and the snow levels continue to rise, and that's going to be a major concern because now you have rain falling on top of that snow again in the western foothills of the Cascades, and that sunset water rushing down the mountains into these communities that, again, are just trying to clean up and get the water out of their home and try to salvage what they can before this new wave comes in. Coastal areas of Washington and Oregon, 3 to 5 inches of rain. And so you could see those rivers really start to swell and rapidly rise, like you see below me, into the coming days. Let's talk more about the impacts from that relentless rain and flooding that continue to slam Oregon and Washington. It's been all week. And many of those homes and roads are still impacted. Fox News multimedia reporter Jake Carolexis has more from Seattle.
It's been raining pretty consistently here since last week, and experts say we might be in the last day or two of this atmospheric river system. There's also been some flooding down in Oregon and in Sylvana, Washington, which is about an hour north of where we are right now. Video shows roads covered in water, front and backyards of houses barely visible, and other parts of the city almost totally submerged. There was also consistent flooding down the road from Sylvana in Arlington, Washington. This video shows a flash flood from the Stillaguamish River. The county emergency management spokesperson says it could have been caused by runoff from a nearby snowmelt mixed with rain from the atmospheric river. The National Weather Service says this is a stronger system than the region is used to seeing this time of year.
They come in lots of different flavors and strengths, and this happened to be a pretty strong one that was the last in a series of them with just cascading effects with each subsequent one. So this was, I wouldn't say it's exceptionally rare, but it is a higher impact one than we've seen in quite some time.
Lower level areas in the Northwest could get up to 2 more inches of rain through this weekend, and areas with higher elevation could see up to 5 inches of rain and snow. In Seattle, Jake Karolexis, Fox Weather.
Jake, thank you for that report. Now to that powerful storm that's expected to deliver nasty weather to the eastern half of the U.S. this weekend. First up, we're going to hone in on Saturday's severe threat that's taking aim at places that you see here, Houston and Nashville. Right now, feels good, feels warm actually for this time of year. That's going to change as we push into the weekend, so stay in tune with the weather. There's the Music City. If you had outdoor plans on Saturday, they may need to adjust. We'll show you why. Here's that severe threat in red that stretches from Nashville all the way to the Gulf Coast. And then that energy continues to push east and north. Here's that likely everywhere in red. The potential for that severe weather. It starts out in Arkansas, right? And you'll see a flare-up of these thunderstorms. And then you can see when that cold front easily comes through, right? It's easily depicted with that line. And so what ends up happening at this point is you have that cold air that's dry. So it dives underneath that humid air that's coming in from the Gulf that's quite warm. That's a clashing of the air masses, and that's that instability. And now it's really starting to fire up as it crosses over the Mississippi Delta. And this is when it's going through into Tennessee, and you're seeing Nashville local time 9 p.m. So again, you have evening plans on Saturday. Stay in tune, get those notifications turned on your Fox Weather app. As we move into Sunday, it gets into the southeast, and we dial back that threat, but it will actually start to intensify. We'll have that in just a moment. Looking at the wind shear, right, for the lower Mississippi Valley, we're looking at this, the winds aloft at 10,000 feet out of the southwest, and then the surface winds are out of the south-southwest. So not nearly as much rotation as we've typically seen, but this is a spot that when we climatologically look at it in the month of December, it has favorable conditions for severe weather. And in recent years, that's exactly what's happened. Mayfield, Kentucky, back on December 10, 2021, had that devastating EF4 tornado that killed over 20 people. And why you can never let your guard down on the second severe season. We will be there to track those storms. Now let's talk about the evolution of this and how that same system, where it goes next. And it gets into the northeast, and it will provide rain and snow to the interior portion, and then widespread gusty winds to all those cities that you see reflected there. New York, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh feeling that impact. But as it ramps up the I-95 corridor and climbs north, this is what's going to happen. That low pressure is going to strengthen. So those impacts may be widespread, but they're also going to pack a punch. And you're looking at that heavy rain really locked in over the I-95 corridor, along with 40, 50 plus mile-per-hour winds on a day that many people are traveling and a time of year that people are traveling. Now, the winter aspect of this is limited. You're looking at this through early next week. Areas near the Great Lakes or in the higher elevation, Adirondacks, down through the Appalachians, they could get a couple inches of snow. But the main threat out of this, actually the biggest widespread impact, will be the wind. But notice the rain here as we push into midday Sunday. That just shows you all the warm air that this system is colliding into, and then it's into the evening time. So most of the day, you'll kind of see these intermittent showers, and it'll probably be gloomy from the mid-Atlantic to the northeast, and then maybe as you're trying to go to bed and you're getting ready for the new work week, you're going to hear the thunder rumbling outside overnight into Monday morning for areas of Boston and the New England coastal areas. It'll be still looming over Monday morning before pushing out over the Atlantic into Nova Scotia by Monday evening. So the Big Apple here is the example, right? Tomorrow, not a bad day. Good day if you can get into town, I should say, for Saturday. Friday's going to be good too. But then you look at the Sunday, and we gain that intensity through the day, but that's the daytime high. Still in the lower 60s, well above average. And the wind threat, you'll see how this ramps up as we progress through the day. So we stop it here, 2 p.m. in the afternoon, 20 to 30 mile per hour gust widespread. New York may have a little bit greater at 30 to 40, and then it starts to really enhance. But most of the strong winds, hopefully if this forecast stays true, stays offshore. But this is what could lead to some of those power outages as we get into late Sunday and then into Monday, before finally by Monday evening, the wind's changing direction and bringing in some of that cooler air to areas of the interior northeast. All right, let's talk about, if you like the warmth, where you should be going, and that would be anywhere on Earth. Hottest year on record right now, and so we're going to be talking about why those temperatures here in the Northeast, it's not really an anomaly. In fact, new research from Copernicus Climate Change Service, or C3S, shows that 2023 is, in fact, now the hottest year on record. This after we saw 6 monthly and 2 seasonal heat records shattered. So just how warm is it? Well, let's get into some of those numbers. You're looking at Kansas City here, where Kansas City's high for this time of year is normally in the mid-40s. This week, they're seeing temps that are 10 to 20 degrees above average. All these holiday shoppers you're seeing are probably enjoying the warm-up compared to the blistering cold, but it's certainly not the norm there. And when you're looking at some of those iconic landmarks at any of those big cities, and you're thinking about taking a picture in front of the tree, your wardrobe might be a little bit different this year than what you've had in years past because of that warmth. Kansas City, yes, definitely feeling the warmth, but they're not alone. We've seen it, today, 23 record highs. Now, it's not just people that are enjoying the warmer weather. Over in North Carolina, the rather mild December has led to the latest turtle nest on record in the Tar Heel State. The nest was discovered by the National Park Service biologists in Cape Hatteras National Seashore, calling it a rare occurrence. To see this was this past Sunday, and what I thought was phenomenal.
My sister was feeling like that for a while. She started seeing a therapist.
You know, Charlene mentioned therapy. She's open to it, but just doesn't know where to start.
She got started at CVS.
CVS? For real?
I know. Can you believe it? It was such a relief to have a resource like that so close to home. There's a virtual option available too.
That's amazing. You know, it gives me such peace of mind having CVS so close to home. I can get my prescriptions around the corner, flu shots for my whole family.
I get all my family's wellness things at CVS too, like our vitamins.
Oh, and the beauty selection.
It's incredible.
Hey, looking good is important to your state of mind too. And CVS has my favorite shampoo, all the Black-owned beauty brands I love.
I know. Everything is right there. Vitamins, personal care items. I'm even trying some of the aromatherapy and essential oils I found at CVS.
Oh, I've heard about those. Do you like them?
Love them. I'm just doing my thing to take care of me, you know? I'm even eating better. I get my favorite healthy snacks at CVS.
So do I. Can I share a secret? I get my not-so-healthy snacks there, too.
Me too.
CVS Pharmacy is committed to making total health more accessible and providing for the unique wellness needs of the Black community. And select states' Minute Clinic at CVS now offers mental health counseling for convenient access to the wellness products and services you need, right in your community. Learn more at CVS.com. CVS is a proud founding partner of the Black Information Network.
America's trusted Black voice.
The Black Information Network.
Atlanta's BIN 640.
Here's what's trending this hour. New York Congressman Jamal Bowman has been censored for pulling a fire alarm before a big vote, and a record number of people are expected to travel by air next year. I'm Amber Payton, and that's the latest.
Sports on the Black Information Network.
NFL Hall of Famer Ed Reed says Deion Sanders wanted him to take over at HBCU Jackson State following his exit. Reed made the comments on the Pivot podcast, saying Coach Prime told him he was the only one for the job. So he took a meeting with JSU Athletic Director Ashley Robinson to express his interest while he was in talks with Florida HBCU Bethune-Cookman University. Reed said JSU would have been ideal, but he ultimately chose BCU to build up the culture at another HBCU because they called first. Reed's efforts were short-lived following his public rant regarding campus facilities, and the university opted not to ratify his contract. HBCU Sports reports Reed has expressed interest in the open head football coaching position at Grambling State. TC Taylor took over at JSU after Sanders went to Colorado. Meanwhile, an HBCU head coach is in the running for the Pro Football Hall of Fame's 2024 class. Tennessee State head coach and former Tennessee Titan Eddie George is among 25 semifinalists to earn the honor. In his own words, he called it an accomplishment to be in the conversation and special to be recognized in that capacity. George went on to say that a case could be made for anyone on the list, and he's honored, thrilled, and it's something to be proud of. In 1995, he won the Heisman Trophy, went on to become a 4-time Pro Bowler and rushed for 10,441 yards across 9 NFL seasons, among other decorations. The winner will be announced on February 8th. Sports at 14 and 44 minutes past each hour. I'm Morgan Wood on the Black Information Network.
Black Information Network podcast you should know.
Welcome to the Therapy for Black Girls podcast. Is it possible for you to catch up on the sleep that you missed at night by taking naps during the day? And if we are a napper, what kind of parameters should we have around naps?
Okay. So unfortunately, once you've missed out on sleep, you've missed out on sleep. There is no catching up. There is no catching up, unfortunately.
That was another podcast you should know from the Black Information Network. Black Information Network podcast you should know.
Welcome to the Therapy for Black Girls podcast.
You are supposed to absorb trauma, absorb the hardships of life, and wear it in some form of kind of masked grace, some form of grace. And that is a badge of glory. And the moment that you say, I don't want this badge, then that means that you're not being a woman.
That was another podcast you should know from the Black Information Network.
Your news at the sound of your voice. Tell your smart device to play the Black Information Network station on iHeartRadio.
Entertainment news on the Black Information Network.
Offset is giving back to the community in Atlanta. The rapper gave out goodies like toys, clothes, internet service, and more in collaboration with the Ann Cephas Family Fund. It marked the second year of Toys for the North, an annual charity event where he gives to families in need. In a statement to local news station Fox 5 Atlanta, Offset said he's trying to inspire the youth and show that dreams can come true. Meanwhile, actor Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson could be considering a 2024 presidential run. He told Today, here's what I can tell you with 100% certainty and surety is that I believe in working hard, controlling the controllables, putting in all the hard work with your own 2 hands, and being humble, hungry, and grateful, kicking A and always giving back. When asked about the possibility of a 2024 presidential run, the Jumanji actor said it's not a no. And producer Ava DuVernay said her origin film was supported by philanthropic donations, not a studio. Speaking to the Washington Post, she talked about the non-traditional method she used to fund the project. She said it's like the market's telling us this stuff doesn't work right now. Adding, so if the market tells us this is not a value proposition for studios, it might be a value proposition for another entity. With the latest in entertainment, I'm Morgan Wood on the Black Information Network.
Got a story or just want to leave us some feedback? Call the Black Information Network hotline at 855-500-9BIN.
This is Your Finances on the BIN Network. Are you looking to be a first-time homeowner? Here are some tips to help you get started. Check your credit report. You'll need a good credit score in order to get approved for a loan. You can use free apps like CreditWise to check your standing and find out ways to improve your score. Your next step is to save for a down payment. Before you consider buying a house, make sure you have enough saved for a down payment, which can be anywhere between 3.5 and 20% of the purchase price. Set your budget before you start your search. You need to know what's in your price range, and you don't want to fall in love with a house that you can't afford. You can find mortgage rate calculators with a quick Google search to help determine your budget. Finally, get a pre-approval from a mortgage lender. If you think you're in good shape with your credit, budget, and down payment savings, it's time to get a pre-approval for a mortgage. You'll need to provide information like your monthly pay stubs and the amount of debt you have so you can get an official letter from the lender that you're ready to purchase a home. This is Dawn Day on the Black Information Network.
Black news all day, every day.
The power of information.
I'm John Marshall.
And I'm Bree Wood on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Ohio State University's Health Sciences program includes a course requiring students to address their privileges, featuring discussions on white, heterosexual, and able-bodied privileges.
According to Fox News, as part of an affordable learning exchange grant, the course includes activities like Unpack the Invisible Knapsack, referencing Peggy McIntosh's essay on white privilege. It prompts reflections on privilege differences using materials discussing race, gender, and sexual orientation. Critics argue this narrative feeds divisive ideologies in universities, while the university stresses academic freedom and idea exchange. I'm Nicole Deal on the Black Information Network.
Brittany Watts faces felony charges for allegedly leaving her 22-week-old fetus in a toilet at home. Police found the deceased baby with signs of injury. Despite Watts' seeking medical help earlier due to a non-viable pregnancy, the baby died before delivery was possible. Face-to-Face Africa reports Watts' attorney argues unfair treatment while the prosecution emphasizes her actions post-birth. The case sparked debate on social media about the prosecution of pregnant individuals, reigniting concerns about similar legal actions in the past.
South Carolina Representative Marvin Pendarvis seeks a DOJ investigation into a sheriff's office after a deputy, James Carter, allegedly assaulted a black man named Rashard Duncan.
Carter now facing charges, reportedly punched Duncan and used racial slurs during an arrest. According to the Atlanta Black Star, the incident led to Carter's firing and his supervisor's demotion for mishandling the case. Pendarvis, who was black, highlights the severity of the abuse of power by Carter, citing delays in medical attention post-assault and the release of body camera footage. I'm Doug Davis on the Black Information Network.
And attendees at Google's K&I Black Summit received a branded notebook with a questionable message inside. Quote, "I was just caught in the moment, but I came back to take your notes," end quote. While seemingly innocent, it sparked controversy due to racial implications. According to TechCrunch, Google, claiming the line wasn't added by them, apologized and promised to review their processes. The incident highlighted oversights in thoughtful messaging for diverse audiences, especially in the post-2020 era of heightened support for Black communities.
And Gwen Henderson is launching Black English Bookstore in Tampa Heights, Florida, to offer diverse literature. Focused on Black authored books, her store aims to fill gaps in available literature. Henderson drew inspiration from James Baldwin's essay and aims to empower through education. Teens provided feedback on book choices, guiding the store's selection. Blavity reports that her initiative stems from a past bookstore's closure, emphasizing inclusion and diversity in literature, fostering a space she'd want to visit herself. For more international, national, state, and local news impacting the Black community, listen to the Black Information Network on the iHeartRadio app or log on to BINnews.com. Make sure that you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Black Information Network and on X at BlackInfoNet. I'm John Marshall, along with Bree Wood, on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Talk back to the Black Information Network using the latest version of the iHeartRadio app. No phone numbers, no dialing. Just click the microphone button in the bottom corner of the app and leave your news tip or feedback for the only 24/7 Black News Network. Trusted news 24/7.
The Black Information Network.
Atlanta's BIN 640. Your money on the Black Information Network.
JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon is blasting cryptocurrencies. In recent remarks to Congress, Dimon says Bitcoin and other digital currencies should be banned. The head of the biggest U.S. bank by assets made his comment in response to questions from Senator Elizabeth Warren. Dimon told the Massachusetts Democrat the only true use case for crypto is for criminals, drug traffickers, money laundering, and avoiding taxes. Dimon says if he was the government, he would shut it down. Meanwhile, you or someone you know might be getting a new gun for Christmas. Firearm sales set a new Black Friday record, and dealers say many of the purchases were people looking to buy gifts.
We see a lot of people coming in and buying personal protection guns, especially a lot of them their wives or girlfriends.
Johnny Dury runs Dury's Guns in San Antonio, Texas. He says on top of Christmas presents, people are also buying guns for hunting season. The FBI completed about 215,000 background checks on Black Friday. That is up more than 11% from last year. Money news at 24 and 54 minutes past each hour. I'm Nicole Deal on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Our news all the time.
The Black Information Network.
Atlanta's BIN 640.
I'm Bree Wood.
And I'm John Marshall on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
The College Board is revisiting the framework for its Advanced Placement African American Studies course months after it became the target of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and other state officials. AP courses help high school students earn college credit, but the African American Studies course was accused by critics of trying to politically indoctrinate students. The new framework, officially launching next year, excludes topics like the Black queer experience, but still mentions the Black Lives Matter movement. It also mentions former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick's protest against police brutality during the national anthem as an area for further study.
Whole Foods Markets is facing a legal challenge from a group of employees who claim they were discriminated and retaliated against for wearing Black Lives Matter masks at work.
The case was previously dismissed by a federal judge in Boston, Massachusetts in January. According to Bloomberg Law, the employees allege that the company violated Title VII of the Civil Rights Act by selectively enforcing a dress code policy that bans slogans, messages, logos, or advertising that are not company related. Whole Foods, which is owned by Amazon, argues that it enforced the dress code policy uniformly and that it did not target the employees because of their race or support for BLM. I'm Mimi Brown on the Black Information Network.
A new poll reveals that former members of Congress are worried about the possibility of violence in the 2024 presidential election. The poll, conducted by the U.S. Association of Former Members of Congress, surveyed 237 former lawmakers from both parties. It found that the vast majority of them expressed concern that the 2024 election will result in violence. The poll also showed that the majority of Republican ex-legislators acknowledged that Joe Biden legitimately won the 2020 election.
And the Youth Performing Arts Program in Chicago, Illinois is hosting its 14th annual Christmas Duets Mentoring Concert and Fundraiser on December 10th. Timeless Gifts will feature professional artists and aspiring young artists performing duets of Christmas and holiday-inspired music at the event. The concert also aims to raise funds for the program's summer activities. The concert will take place at the Reva and David Logan Center. For details, visit timelessgifts.org. I'm Bree Wood, along with John Marshall, on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network. Now here's Mike Island with your Healthy Minute.
There's helpful news for those who have recently learned that they have type 2 diabetes. There are resources to support those who have just been diagnosed with the disease, and they provide newly diagnosed patients with the right information and tools at the right time to help them manage their disease and improve their lives. They are designed to provide lifestyle education and offer guidance and support to help people learn how to manage and live well with diabetes, including information on food and nutrition, stress and emotions, physical activity, and complications. To learn more about these resources, visit diabetes.org. What does it take to turn science into a sigh of relief? Research, they say, will wipe out cancer, and it's the best way to help cancer patients get better treatment. You can be a part of outsmarting cancer with the Conquer Cancer Foundation. The foundation has the brightest cancer researchers from around the world, lighting the way for doctors to uncover new and better treatments for all types of cancer, helping all types of patients. Visit conquer.org. And that's your Healthy Minute. I'm Mike Island on the Black Information Network.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Original Black reporting.
The Black Information Network.
Atlanta's BIN 640.
At Bank of America, we learn what matters most by asking our customers one simple question. What would you like the power to do?
I'd like the power to worry less.
The power to make my parents comfortable.
The power to...
agree on a monthly budget?
Oh, hey, that'd be nice.
No matter what your financial goal is, we're here to help. Bank of America, what would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A., member FDIC, equal credit opportunity lender.
The risk of death related to childbirth is 3 to 4 times higher for Black women than white. The healthcare system is failing Black women, and in many instances, it boils down to not being heard. Communicating with your provider is vital. Writing down questions and answers and taking someone with you to appointments can be helpful. But if a healthcare provider is not listening to you or not addressing your concerns, find a new provider, because understanding and recognizing implicit bias can save lives. Here's to your health. I'm Carmela for the Black Information Network.
640 AM WBIN Atlanta, the Black Information Network.
Listen at BINnews.com or tell your smart device to play the Black Information Network on iHeartRadio.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. The House is censoring New York Democrat Jamal Bowman for pulling a fire alarm ahead of a big vote. He pulled the alarm in a congressional building during a vote to fund the government back in September. Republicans accused the Democrat of trying to delay the vote on the spending bill, while he claims he pulled the alarm thinking it would open a locked door in the building. Bowman, who is Black, pleaded guilty to 1 count of falsely pulling a fire alarm and was ordered to pay a $1,000 fine. Dane County, Wisconsin is looking to no longer charge unwed fathers for past due costs of the birth of their children. The county's new budget includes a proposal to ask the state to no longer collect Medicaid debt from fathers from before 2020. Advocates say those collections unfairly hurt Black, brown, and indigenous communities. Dane County stopped collecting childbirth costs in 2020, but only after recouping $2 million. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
I'm Vanessa Tyler.
And I'm Mike Stevens on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
A Black man dying said he couldn't breathe, yet cops told Manuel Ellis to shut up. The trial continues in Washington. Tacoma cop Timothy Renkin testifying how he sat on the Black man's back after seeing Ellis was strong enough to knock off another cop who was also on top of him as Ellis tried to breathe.
I just jumped on top of him and placed both my knees basically center line of his back. So on his spine, my left knee on his lower back, my right knee in between his shoulder blade.
Rankin says he continued to apply pressure, and although Ellis told him he couldn't breathe, the cop thought if he could talk, he could breathe. Rankin is one of 3 Tacoma officers charged with the 2020 killing. An autopsy showed Ellis's death was caused by oxygen starvation.
The speaker, who was ousted from power, is leaving the House.
While I'll be departing the House at the end of this year, I will never, ever give up fighting for this country that I love so much.
Republican Kevin McCarthy calling it quits. So what does this do for the balance of power in an already narrow GOP majority? Even extreme MAGA Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene says it's not looking good for her party next year. Republican George Santos is already gone, kicked out. Then there are the losses. Republicans suffered from court rulings about congressional maps and violation of voting rights. All things together that could put Democrats back in charge of the House. And if that is the case, it would make Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries the first Black man to hold the gavel.
Do voters have Biden's back like they did during the last election?
And especially those moments where this campaign was at its lowest ebb, the African-American community stood up again for me. You always have my back, and I'll have yours.
If poll numbers translate into actual votes, the answer is no. President Biden's approval rating is stuck near record lows. According to a Reuters Ipsos poll, it's been lingering about 40%, 39% in November. In a new poll, Americans said the economy, crime, and immigration are the biggest problems they face.
For those who still smoke menthol cigarettes, you can exhale. The FDA ban on menthol cigarettes has been delayed. Reports are the decision to wait by the Biden administration was political and could be delayed even further in an election year. Menthol cigarettes smoked overwhelmingly by African Americans was a divisive issue with community concerns. It would lead to police harassment and underground sales. Others see it as saving Black lives, with still more saying all cigarettes are dangerous. Why not ban them all?
On social media, stay connected with the BIN on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Black Information Network, and on X, formerly Twitter, at Black InfoNet. I'm Vanessa Tyler with Mike Stevens on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
I'm Devin Dunstan on the Black Information Network. In 1892, a 30-year-old woman named Sarah Boone was granted a patent for an invention many of us use every day. Born into slavery in Craven County, North Carolina, Sarah Boone is credited with inventing the ironing board. In her patent application, she wrote, "The purpose is to produce a cheap, simple, convenient, and highly effective device, particularly adapted to be used in the ironing of sleeves and bodies of ladies' garments." Before Sarah Boone's great idea, most people would iron their clothes on a simple board, but her invention featured the narrow, curved design that is still used today. The ironing board that the former enslaved African-American designed made it easier to iron clothing, especially women's garments. Over the years, the design would evolve somewhat, but the ironing board that we use today is essentially the same idea that was patented in 1892. Now, more than 125 years later, Sarah Boone is remembered as a black woman who invented the ironing board. And that's a fact. I'm Devin Dunstan on the Black Information Network.
Stories you trust from people you trust.
The Black Information Network.
Atlanta's BIN 640.
I'm Alexandria Ikamoni on your home for 24/7 News, Atlanta's BIN 640. Mike Pence could be called to testify against his former boss. According to CNN, the man who served as Donald Trump's second in command is on the witness list in the Fulton County trial investigating alleged interference in the 2020 presidential race in Georgia. There are reportedly 150 names total on the list. Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis is hoping to begin the trial in August, but the judge in the case has yet to set a timeline. The Fulton County Board of Commissioners did meet to discuss a proposal for a new jail. The request comes after authorities sounded the alarm, saying the current facility is aging and is no longer structurally sound. Hear from a few commissioners.
I think the size of it is too big. It's too big. I do think the cost of it is too much. A little bit still at this point.
I don't know necessarily that we really have any other viable option.
The project comes with a $1.7 billion price tag and comes after 10 people have died in the jail this year. Some community members believe more than just changing the building is needed to fix the issues.
Right now, people dying in our jails, that's radical. You know what's radical? Using $2 billion to do something that we know has not worked already.
Meantime, Black Sheriff Pat Labatt says inmates are even taking parts of the crumbling building and making weapons. If approved, the new jail will be built behind the current one. Georgia lawmakers are taking a stand in support of Atlanta's new public safety training center. The State House passed a symbolic resolution despite continued protests over the project's construction. Mayor Andre Dickens and Georgia Governor Brian Kemp are already publicly known supporters of the project. Meantime, Atlanta has spent more than $1.3 million in legal fees in the battle over what opposers call Cop City. As according to records obtained by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, that show the city spent the money in relation to the two court cases involving the proposed law enforcement training center. A Black Atlanta City Councilman wants to ban the wearing of hoodies and ski masks at the same time. Antonio Lewis is proposing legislation for a ban this week, saying he hopes it will reduce crime.
Letting you know this is about making people safer. When you have the mask with your eyes only showing and your mouth showing, I don't want to see you in that anymore. Nephew.
Georgia laws that already prohibited wearing masks on public or private property without written consent were relaxed during the COVID-19 pandemic. But one barbershop owner of color makes sure his rules are followed.
Oh, yeah, we definitely going to tell them to take it off in the barbershop because, like I say, even though we're familiar with everybody in the community, we want the people, to feel safe.
That's what's happening in the Atlanta area. For more on these stories and international, national, state, and local news impacting the Black community, listen to the Black Information Network on the iHeartRadio app or log on to BINnews.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Black Information Network. I'm Alexandria Ikamoni on your home for 24/7 News, Atlanta's BIN 640.
51% of all food programs in the Feeding America network are volunteer-run. Learn more about how you can play an important role in ending hunger at feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org.
Honest, credible, Trusted.
The Black Information Network.
Atlanta's BIN 640.
Pat Sajak here to let you know that Wheel of Fortune fans can win big just by watching the show. Right, Vanna?
That's right, Pat. Just join the Wheel Watchers Club for the chance to win all year long.
Yep, and you don't even have to do the hard work of spinning a wheel. Is that cheating, Vanna?
No, Pat. All you need to do is sign up for the Wheel Watchers Club today at wheeloffortune.com.
Time now for another crime prevention safety tip. Don't advertise vacations on social media. It's okay to share memories, not your absence. Safety starts with you. Share your tips at #LockItUp.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with John Legend to find out which artist in music today inspires him most.
Well, I'm a big fan of Frank Ocean's album, Channel Orange. I think it's a beautiful album, and it was inspiring as an artist to see someone with that level of creativity and virtuosity when it came to his lyrics and his writing ability. I just felt like that was an inspiring album for me. It's just exciting to see him blossom as an artist.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more of John Legend and all your favorite artists.
All the Black news you need.
A Harvard panel is discussing the challenges and goals of Black land ownership in the United States.
In 30 minutes,
Sheila Jackson Lee and John Whitmire engaged in a heated debate at City Hall.
Available 24/7.
NBA legend Michael Jordan is no longer on the top 1,000 billionaires list. It's unclear what caused the drop in ranking.
This is the Black Information Network.
Atlanta's BIN 640 and on the iHeartRadio app.
Want to support your community? FARMS is a legal nonprofit committed to assisting and providing legal services to Black farmers and landowners. Learn how you can help by logging on to 30,000acres.org.
Starting healthy habits can be a struggle, but when we take it one step at a time, it won't seem as challenging. Each day, try to commit to doing just one thing that will help you in your journey. One easy way is to start making good use of your stairs, or any stairs. Walk them every chance you get. In fact, if you would like a strong cardio workout, walk up and down the stairs repeatedly. Stairs are everywhere, and they're free. They're a great way to get in a workout because your health matters. I'm Big Sue on the Black Information Network.
Want to make a difference? African American patients only have a 25% chance of finding a bone marrow match. Make a difference and join the National Bone Marrow Registry at bethematch.org.
If something's happening in your community, we want to know about it. Call the Black Information Network hotline and speak up. 855-500-9BIN.
The opinions, beliefs, and viewpoints expressed in this commentary are those of the author and do not necessarily represent those of BIN and its founding partners and employees.
I'm Mo Kelly on BIN with your 2-minute warning. There were the Cassie sexual abuse allegations against Diddy, followed by the accusations of the rape of a minor by Diddy, the Axl Rose rape allegations, the sexual assault allegations against L.A. Reid, Aerosmith, Steven Tyler was sued for sexual assault of a minor. Grammy President Neil Portnow sued for allegedly drugging and raping a woman. And as of yesterday, Portnow's Grammy predecessor, C. Michael Green, has been sued over alleged multiple incidents of sexual assault and harassment. And that's in just the past few months. There's probably more that I've missed, but they're coming so frequently, it's hard to keep up. And you know what? I bet everything I have, they're all 100% true. In fact, the lawsuit just filed against former Grammy chief C. Michael Green was by someone I know personally, Terry McIntyre. I worked at the Grammys with Terry during the time outlined in her lawsuit. This is not about quote-unquote believe all women. This is I believe these women, because either I know the women personally and or have specific knowledge of their allegations and or know the men and their proclivities. But the larger point is because of changing laws in both New York and California, the parameters as to the statute of limitations regarding these types of lawsuits changed, and with it the willingness of women to come forward and tell their stories. But be very clear, the threats against these women and others who've yet to come forward were real. The violence committed against them and those who've yet to tell their own stories was real, as were the promises to ruin their careers if they mention anything. Some signed NDAs, some did not. All deserve to be heard. The Me Too reckoning skipped over the music business last time. That won't be the case this time. I'm Mo Kelly at Mr. Mo Kelly on social media, and that's your 2-minute warning on the Black Information Network.
Get the Black news that matters in 30 minutes on the Black Information Network. Atlanta's BIN 640.
Here's what's trending this hour. It's been 2 months since the Israel-Hamas war began. Congress is making it clear that pulling a fire alarm will not be tolerated, and the richest Americans are richer than ever. I'm Amber Payton, and that's the latest.
Sports on the Black Information Network.
Los Angeles Lakers star LeBron James is speaking out following the mass shooting on campus at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas on Wednesday. James, who is in Vegas ahead of the NBA's in-season tournament semifinals, says it's too easy to get guns and carry out these types of tragedies.
It's ridiculous, and the fact that we haven't changed anything has actually been a lot easier to actually be able to own a firearm. It's stupid.
James called the shooting senseless, also saying that we continue to deal with the same thing in our country, and it's time for a change.
Just goes back what I said before about guns in America. I think it's such a longer conversation, but we're the only ones who keep dealing with the same story, the same conversation every single time it happens, and it just continues to happen.
At least 3 people are dead after an active shooting event at UNLV. Police say a 4th person is in critical condition. The shooter who is dead was a 67-year-old career college professor who had ties to schools in Georgia and North Carolina. And in college basketball, the Rutgers Scarlet Knights are adding a top recruit to their 2024 class. 5-star guard Dylan Harper announced his commitment to Rutgers. ESPN ranks Harper as the number 2 prospect in the 2024 class. Sports at 14 and 44 minutes past each hour. I'm Morgan Wood on the Black Information Network.
America lost a legend and Black icon with the passing of Henry